Yeah, true. Good point.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to episode number 33 of Reezy Talks. Today on the show, we're going to be interviewing Matt Loberstein, a young, successful private label seller. Matt is 25 years old, and so far this year, he has done approximately $1.3 million in sales of private label. So I'm sure we're all going to learn a lot of stuff. I mean, even if you're not watching and there's no one paying attention, I'm going to learn a lot. So that's good enough for me. What's up, Matt? How are you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Actually, I just got back from a $2,000 run at Toys R Us. They hate me over there. I did way too many transactions.
Dude, that's sick. I miss those days. I didn't do that much of that, but I mean, I did start as, I'm sure we'll get into this, but like I started as, reseller hustler. That's what led me into, finding private label and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's probably my biggest downfall is that I've been selling on Amazon full-time for 13 years, and I sold only used books for 10 years. I didn't even know really you could sell all kinds of other stuff. And then once I started doing the Reezy Resells thing, I met a bunch of other sellers, and I learned what other people were doing, and I was like started selling shoes and et cetera, et cetera. But man, I just now, not that I'm like doing private label or wholesale really or anything, but I was like, man, if I was doing it 10 years ago, I probably could have killed it.
That's even what I think. It's like, it's funny now because like now I've started the personal brand thing as well. And everyone's like, oh, you're like old school. Like you've been doing this. But like, dude, if I had gotten another 3 or 5 years before I did, like it would have been stupid. It would have been tens of millions.
Right. And so I guess first off, let's just, I said some of your numbers already, right? So far for this year, I think I did.
Yeah, this year is like approaching 1.3. Last year, I did 1.2 for the whole year. So, with Q4 coming this year, it's hard to exactly predict based on how well it goes, but it's going to be a lot bigger.
So basically, private label's dead, right? Nobody should try it anymore?
Yeah, more for us.
No, but seriously, it's not, right?
No. I mean, I do think the days of it being just stupid easy, like just slap something up there and just like boom, people would do the big giveaway blasts and just day one, it was like this big extravaganza. And then you'd just be selling 100 a day of like fish oil or some major product like immediately. Those days are long over. I missed those days. I mean, that was like way back. I think going forward, like what there's still a ton of room for is building a real brand. And I still think there are random opportunities on Amazon. So I'll like start there, but I'm always thinking like this long-term trajectory of like, can I build this product out into a brand? Because brands and product lines, they exist outside of Amazon, like that will always be a thing. So.
Yeah, I saw one question someone had today, which basically I could answer. And they were like, well, how do you stop your suppliers from just selling on your listing? And I was like, well, you brand your product, They can't sell your brand, you know what I mean? Of course, they can sell a spatula with no label on it, but that's not the reason people buy a spatula. They buy it because of your branding and your marketing. And, they're never going to be able to win against the little guy for branding and marketing because we will pay much more attention to each individual product.
Yeah, I saw that question. And if they meant like, why doesn't the supplier just sell your brand product? Well, they're not going to do that because you have a relationship with them. You're reordering, so they want to give you what you want such that you're going to be ordering for years and years and years.
Okay, so let's take it back to the beginning. What were you doing before you started selling on Amazon or online in general?
Oh, sorry. My girlfriend said that are you just broadcasting from your side, or is it supposed to be sharing the video from both?
It's supposed to be sharing video from you. Hold on a second. I don't know why.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, she was like holding up her phone like.
Yeah, no, that's actually true. I just realized it's not switching to you. So there's you, but it's supposed to auto switch. Hold on a second. Go ahead and talk.
I forgot the question.
Okay, we're good. For some reason, it was locked on my feed and not switching via who's talking or whatever. So, how did you get into selling online? Was it Amazon? Was it eBay? What were you doing before?
Mm-hmm. So for me, it was eBay. I was an eBay seller for probably 4 or 5 years before I jumped onto Amazon at all. And what I was doing was reselling. That's where I first started. So I was mostly doing used iPhones and other phones, but that was really where I got my start. Like, you know, back then everyone was buying phones on the like subsidized price plan where you'd pay like $200, but the phone's actually worth 600 or whatever. So then a year later, they wouldn't realize that the phone they paid 200 for a year ago was actually still worth 300 or 400. So I'd buy it for like, you know, 100 or whatever. Now people know about that, but
Right.
that was really my thing for a few years, was reselling phones. And I tried to scale that up into like working with some more legit like phone recycling companies that sometimes I'd have like hundreds of iPhones. It was pretty insane. That led me to kind of like playing around with AliExpress and like sort of semi, not quite private label, but it was like an intermediate step where I would like order, say, like phone accessories from AliExpress, like 50 or 100 of them, and throw them on eBay like as my own listing. So in a way, it was like almost this like primitive form of private label, except I wasn't like doing anything with branding. But then it's like more like, it was more like wholesale where you're competing on price so much. So that led me to be like, damn, I want to control everything. I want to be able to sell the same product over and over again at a price that I set as the price. So that was kind of like the path I took. It was like reselling to sort of playing with AliExpress to full on branding, dealing with manufacturers.
So you never really, you weren't a reseller on Amazon.
No, I was doing that on eBay. I was, but yeah, when I got serious about Amazon, it was for the private label stuff.
Awesome. How many products do you have right now?
I have around 35, more if you include like color variations and stuff like that. Then it's probably like 50 something.
Awesome. What is your, what kind of revenue, daily revenue are you bringing in off of those?
So this time of year is definitely my dip after summer. I have some products that peak in summer. So lately it's been like 3,000 a day or so, but like peak summer, I was doing like 5, 6 a day. But that's just kind of like, it goes through different trajectories. You know, when you're selling the same product all the time, some stuff is seasonal. Then it'll peak in Christmas. So that's where it's been lately. But yeah.
Depending on whatever you have. What kind of margins do you operate on?
So the way I think about it, because one thing that's probably a lot different from like my business versus yours is like, I don't know, or maybe it's not, maybe you have to tell me, but like you don't do much like PPC or advertising spend, right?
No, hardly. Like
Right.
if I have to create a listing for a product and it doesn't sell right away, then which I wouldn't do if I only had like one product anyways, unless it was like I was going to make a lot off that one unit.
Mm-hmm.
I would invest in PPC to get it going and do like some little tricks with like, you know, getting other people to buy it and also clicking on other items so that would show up under similar sold, etc., that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So for like when in my type of business, I spend a lot on ads. So the way I think about profit margin is like first I start with the profit margin before ads, and then I think of everything left as basically my room to play with ads, right? So my product, my straight just like product margin is in the mostly of them are around between 35% to 45%. But then my like end actual profit is usually more in the 20% range after I factor in everything else like advertising costs and everything.
That's still good. How many employees do you have?
Just one full-time virtual assistant.
Nice. So what does that cost you on usually, or are they on salary?
He gets I don't know if he's probably going to see that I exposed his salary, but it's $4 an hour in the Philippines.
Awesome. Well, that isn't that a good rate for the Philippines?
Good as in high or good as
Yeah,
in?
like a high rate. I feel like that's pretty high. I have some Venezuelan VAs, and I pay them a little bit more than that. But I always heard that I don't have any Filipino VAs, and I always heard that the Philippines was the place to go for really cheap labor.
No, you're totally right. I did a video about it. I said like $2 to $4 is kind of the range. It depends what you're looking for. My guy is an absolute like rock star. I mean, if you've seen like my videos, he's editing all of those for YouTube now, but he's been working in my main business for over a year. So he's had raises too. He wasn't making that at the beginning, but because he's so awesome now, I definitely want to, you know, have him stick around.
I'm so psyched right now. He's editing your videos, and your videos are like decently good. Like the nicely edited parts, not the talking or whatever. He's doing all that.
Dude, he's doing everything. I just upload the raw footage and he spits out the vlog.
I'm so jealous of you right now, dude. How
Remember
many
you
hours
telling
does
me.
it take for him to edit a vlog?
Uh, you know, I don't even know the exact answer because he works on other stuff, so I just see his total hours. It's probably
Right.
like a solid 5 hours or sometimes more.
Did he have video editing experience before that, or?
So his background is more he has a ton of background in graphic design and photo, but he didn't have a lot of experience with video, but he really wanted to learn. You know, like I had him watching like Daily V, and he's just like got super pumped into all that stuff. And I was like, this is what I want to do, and this and this and this. And we like talked about the aesthetic for like honestly months. Like I had thought about starting this like way back. And so we kind of like had this idea, like he was excited to start learning video and I wanted it to look like this. And so he's been like growing. Like if you go back to the first one, it wasn't as tight as even like the 5th or the 10th one. So
right, exactly. So he's learning.
Exactly.
And probably actually having a good time with it. And so based off what you just said, I'm going to assume that some of his main tasks are like product photography and stuff like that.
Yeah. So because he has a photography background, I'll actually have sometimes, not in every case, but sometimes I'll have my products literally just shipped to him in the Philippines and he'll do the photography. Even if he doesn't do the actual photos, he's always doing the editing, throwing them on Amazon. Like if I want to add any graphic work to it, that's all on him. Basically everything graphic, photo, video.
So you're still creating all the listings and doing all the keywords and the PPC, but he's adding the photos and optimizing the visual aspect of the listing.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually with like my sort of guideline, but he'll do the, like I'm not doing the actual editing and then he'll go and actually upload it in most cases. But yeah, the other stuff, like you said, that's definitely my area. Like obviously keywords and product research and copywriting, that's all on me.
Awesome. Do you have any enhanced listings? Is that what it's called? Where you can put like video and stuff on them?
The enhanced brand content. You know, I actually still have not played with it. I really need to mess with that. But you need to have brand registry for that, which is going to weed out a lot of, especially newer sellers. I do have brand registry on one of my brands, and on the second one, I just haven't registered yet, but I actually have a legal trademark already, so I'd be good. But if you're starting out now, you'd have to go through that whole trademark process, which can take like close to a year. So it's not going to be something that most new guys.
Did you use a service to do trademarks, or did you hire someone to do it, or
I went yourself? No, I didn't do it myself. I just found like a friend recommended an attorney that handled it. I think it was like $700 or $800. I can't really remember.
To get like your brand name and then like covered under like the type of stuff you'll be making, right?
Exactly. I think we put it in like 2 different categories because like you're thinking about how the brand could expand and stuff like that. But
right. And just for the people that are watching, if you don't understand what brand registration is, it's like Amazon's superpowers. And it basically means you get access to the enhanced brand content, which we were talking about. And also you can do things like get people kicked off your listings. If they try to sell on your listings, you can basically register yourself as the exclusive reseller of your own brand so that nobody else can do it. And a lot of companies do not know how to do it, but it is very simple. I've done it for several clients of mine. You have to have a trademark, and then you register that trademark with Amazon, and then they actually send a confirmation number to the legal agency that filed the trademark, and then you get that number from them and send it back to Amazon, and then you're brand registered. It literally takes a day or 2. It's extremely easy.
Yeah. Well, now, I need to submit that other one that I just haven't got around to it, but I have the trademark, so I'm good to go.
Awesome. So why don't we go over, at least for me, one of the main things with private label that's been like deterring me is I'm well aware of the opportunity, and obviously it's something that I want to go into and should be doing. But at the same time, I get caught up in just running my own currently existing day-to-day business, which is mostly just buying stuff and selling stuff, which is a lot of work actually. Like I'm over here telling you that like private label seems like a lot of work, and you're like, no dude, what you do seems like a lot of work. And no, I mean, neither of us is right or wrong, but it's just like how do you go about selecting a product? How long does that take? How long should you be expecting to, like if you said right now, I want to launch a new private label product, and it wasn't related to your existing brands, how long would you expect, how many hours would you expect to put in research before you found a winner?
I mean, well, if you're asking for me to do it versus somebody starting out new, that might be a little different. I mean, I think I could do it relatively quickly just because I sort of have that, a lot of it is just like this sort of intuition thing, which is hard to teach, but a lot of it is that. And, you know, I'll just dig through a lot of opportunities, and me personally, I always have like a backlog of like, I might do these products later. So I'll just have like literally 50 products on a list, and then now I just kind of like refer back and be like, okay, that one looks like the best or whatever. But if I was just starting from scratch, I mean, dude, I think I could find a product worth going to like tonight.
Wow, that's awesome. And then you could have samples, and then you could be launching a product in what, like a week or two?
Maybe a little bit more than that, just to go back and forth with suppliers, see who's worth getting samples from. You got to obviously wait for the samples to arrive. In some cases, they need to produce the samples for you. So one thing in general is like, and you probably get this too, is like everyone's in such a rush, kind of like a Gary Vee thing, right? Like patience, all that. But like now that I have some existing products, I'm not always like super like boom, boom, boom. This needs to happen like right now. Like, because I've realized there's always a lot of holdups with this stuff. So I'll just kind of like plan on it taking like 2 to 3 times what you think it should take, you know?
Right. Do you ever like, so you're not like super grinding. You're not like getting a product, ordering it, and then finding another one, getting it, order. You're kind of like going through one until seeing it to market before you do another one.
I'll do a few at a time at this stage, but if you're just starting out, I wouldn't recommend it, because when you have a product that is successful, it's going to end up tying up so much capital, because the more it is successful, the more cash you need to reinvest into that inventory. Like, so say your first order is $1,000 worth of units, and it's like 100, or say it's like 200 units or whatever, so $5 a piece. And then say you were to double your money and get 2,000, but your listing's flying. So now all of a sudden you realize you should really order $5,000 worth of product, and now that's flying. And then, you know, it's just like, it kind of like continues to suck up cash. And that's why I think this is a business you really have to think about a little bit longer term. Like, that's why, like, I think reselling, like, for people that are coming to me and they're like, I need money like next month, and like,
You're like, go talk
I can't
to
lose
Reezy.
any money. I can't lose any money. I'm like, yeah, like go like resell, do some sort of like that raw hustle that you're talking about. Like, I was there, I get that. And that's what you're doing. And which is like super awesome. But like you said, it's a ton of work. So, but I think whatever you can do like that to sort of build up that capital to be in a position where you can risk to lose some money, because you for sure can pick a private label product and have it not work out. I mean, even I get into that situation. It's not like if it was just guaranteed, I would just take millions of dollars of investment and go launch like 1,000 products. But it's still hard, you know? So that's, like you said, that's why I'm kind of rolling them out a little bit slowly, so I can give them attention and make sure that everything gets going strongly.
How much money do you think someone should have to launch a product? Or like, what amount, you know, do people come to you and they say, I have this much, and you're like, no, go back to work, you need a little bit more? Like, what amount is good to consider launching your first product?
You know, it's probably an unpopular thing to say, but I think that having 3,000 to 6,000 really puts you in a better position. I think that having 1,000 or so is doable, but it's way more competitive, because everyone is looking for those products that have low MOQ, minimum order quantity, meaning you can order a small order, or they're small and light, so the unit cost is low enough that it works, right? At like $1,000 or something. So I find that those products are just immensely saturated. For example, for me, my second brand is the one that really has taken off into my big brand now. So this was a brand I launched about a year after selling. So I was using the profits from those initial products. I probably had like two or three products, or maybe even 4 under the first brand at that time. But the thing is that second brand, it was a bigger market, but my first order was like at least $10,000, which most people aren't going to get into that right off the bat. So I think that the more you can invest, it kind of opens up other opportunities that are going to weed people out, right?
And how did you do on your first product?
My very first, from the first brand?
Oh, okay. So you weren't talking about your very first try. That was the first product.
No. So that was my first product of my second brand. What I was saying is that I used like some profits from the first ones to then get into a market that required more investment, which actually made it a lot easier, because there's less competition.
It had more of a barrier to entry.
Exactly, more barrier to entry. I think the more you can go through barriers in general, there's less competitors. It's things like sea shipping. Everyone's like, oh, you need a product that's this big and weighs this much and is this light. But if you can go sea shipping, that's one more obstacle that a lot of people are going to drop out at. So
yeah, barriers are huge. I was just talking to someone about this, is like on a much smaller scale, but it was like, oh, I got to go sourcing some products, and right now everyone's buying like hot toys for fourth quarter or whatever. And they were like, I know all these toys are out there, I can see them on Brickseek, but it's raining cats and dogs. And I was like, you better go. You know that's going to be good today, because the barrier to entry is high, because everyone wants to stay home when it's raining. You know what I mean?
Dude, absolutely. And online business stuff in general, everyone's looking for like the easiest thing. But yeah, the more you can do the thing that's the hard thing, I mean, it's just going to be wide open.
And that's
So
really why private label is definitely very competitive, is because it is viewed as one of the easy things, because you can do it anywhere in the world. You can send your products straight to Amazon from your supplier. You can, you just need your laptop. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, no,
um,
absolutely.
do you send your products directly to Amazon from your supplier, or do you touch them first?
Originally, I touched them when I was first starting out, which I think is a pretty good idea, just to like, especially if they haven't already been reselling, like if they're not in your crowd already, like if they've never touched Amazon, just to make sure they understand barcodes and how it should be packed and all that stuff. I don't think it's a terrible idea. But as I scaled, now I don't touch anything. Well, I'll
Right.
still have, sometimes I'll have a little bit shipped. Like, say I'm like really sort of am in a rush to get a product. I might have like 1 or 2 cartons of this product just shipped to me super quick, just so I can check it out. And I might still do that on a very, very, very small scale. But then the boat with like a freaking whole container is like on its way over, you know?
So at this point, are you working with some of the same suppliers again and again, or are you looking for new suppliers, or does your relations with your suppliers kind of drive your product selection because you're making stuff that they can make, or how's that working?
That's actually a really good point that you touched on that I think is one place that a lot of people forget to look, which is you're already dealing with a supplier, just being like, hey, what else do you guys have? Like I do that all the time. So I have branched out that way a lot. So if I'm looking for a product that's related to my existing products, I don't look for a new manufacturer because I already have ones that I'm established with. Maybe I've gone through a few that I've got rid of. So for stuff that's in their current capabilities, I just go straight to them. I don't even like price shop at this point for stuff like that because I have good relationships with them. I've wired them tens of
Right.
thousands
Time
of
is money,
dollars. Like,
and like broken, crappy stuff showing up is the worst thing in the world. Did when
yeah,
you first started going like with these new suppliers, did you use inspection teams or whatever?
yeah. So I do still use new suppliers if I'm going into like a new item that I don't have. Like I just right now I have a shipment leaving that's like a brand new item and it's a brand new supplier. And in that case, yes, I do an inspection. But with the ones that I've used so many times, I don't
Right,
personally
you
bother.
trust them already. So how did your inspection process go? A lot of people don't even know what an inspection process is or why it's important.
Okay, so the idea of an inspection process is typically when you're ordering from directly from a supplier in China or a factory, you'll pay like say 30% as a deposit to get them to start producing your order. And then when the order is finished, they'll be like, okay, now you have to send the balance payment, which is the 70%, which like releases the shipment. So then you're allowed to have it shipped out of their factory. So the concept of an inspection is that you can hire an inspecting agent or team or whatever. There's companies, I can mention the one I use, but you hire them and it's like the one I use is like $300. They go in, they give an insanely detailed report. Like they look through the products, they'll take measurements, weights. If it's something that has a function, they'll test it. They'll do drop tests. They'll tell you how they'll send you it's like a 30-page report. It's really, really intense. And then you can look through the report and see if you want, if there's an issue with it, then you'd tell the supplier like, look, like you need to fix this or I'm not going to pay the balance. You would still have the risk of losing out on that 30%. Like there are things you can do to protect against that as well. But at least you haven't necessarily sent that 70% yet until you've inspected it and then you pay and then they release it.
So
Does
your
that make
your
sense?
inspection, yeah, your inspection agent will be like emailing you photos or whatever, and then you'll say, okay, those are good, or hey, that packaging does not have the barcode on the box. They forgot to do that, or whatever.
Exactly. You'll be able to catch any issues like that. Like if they forgot that, then you'd be like, hey, this is not like, don't send it yet. Like you need to fix this before we can accept it. Exactly.
Right. And you print your Amazon barcodes directly on the package?
Yes, I do. Except for some products that just come in like little poly bags, then I just have them put a sticker on at the supplier.
Oh, cool. So it's not no intense packaging on those.
But that's for most of my products come in retail packaging with the FN SKU in the actual artwork. I just have a few like smaller accessory type items that aren't in boxes. So in that case, yeah, it's just a sticker.
Awesome. What how would, if I wanted to, if you were going to give me instruction on how like I could get off this interview and then I could start finding my own first private label product, what would your instructions be?
My first instruction would be to watch a shitload of videos, listen to a bunch of podcasts. You have to have that sort of like fundamental understanding. But then you have to also keep in mind that there's a lot of people just kind of like repeating the same stuff, right? So you have to have that idea of like, I might need to switch one of these criteria. Again, it ties back to the obstacle thing. Like, well, if I can switch this one criteria, that makes it more difficult, but everything else makes sense for the normal criteria. Now that might be an interesting opportunity. Like everything's good, but it's like a little too heavy and therefore needs sea shipping. Well, that might be a perfect opportunity.
Right.
So I would
do you use, I mean, I'm assuming you use Jungle Scout. Do you use just the Chrome extension, or do you use the web tool?
personally the extension, but I'm probably going to get the web app again just to play around, especially now that a lot of people are like asking me about it constantly. I just want to make sure I'm like up to date on it, you know? But as for my personal product discoveries, they've been manual. Like I just do a ton of digging on Amazon. You know, you're clicking around in the frequently bought together, the sponsored products, clicking into storefronts, seeing their best sellers, going into categories, looking at the top ones, just like anything you can do to like sort of like get into that hole and then like just branch out into the web, right? And then I'll search that item in the search results and see how that looks. And now I'll use Jungle Scout for that aspect, just to speed me up in terms of seeing like the BSRs, seeing like the total revenue, all of that.
Right. So how deep would you look into a category, like the top 100 items, or how far do you go in a certain category when you're looking for something? And is it the same in a subcategory, or are you looking mostly in main categories?
Well, when I'm looking in that way, it's usually just to get those first ideas, because then what I would do is just search that keyword in the search and see all of them, right? So I'm not like really basing it on like what is the rank, because typically, like, yeah, you might be going into a niche that has one or two of them that are in like, you know, the top 100 BSR or whatever, but those ones are super established and that's going to be hard to like compete with, right? So like shooting for a huge win like that is really difficult. And that's one thing that's definitely harder now than FBA was a long time ago. I think it's better to just find, like, I kind of shoot for products in like the 5,000 BSR range, even 10,000, just depends. And then I have a few that exceed my expectations and are like 1,000. But I don't really have a set number for where I'm starting, because it all depends on like the level of competition in relation to the sales volume, right? Like, so maybe there's a lot of sales volume, but there's more competition, but that balances out with like, you know, maybe there's only 3 sellers, but their BSRs are like 5,000, 8,000, and 11,000. And then I think like, whoa, that'd be really easy to jump into. So it's just kind of this like balance of how the market looks. And if I think there's room for me to just sort of like get into the middle and do well.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. So let's see. What kind of tools do you use to get the job done? Software wise, I'm assuming most of the tools you use are software.
You know, I'm not a huge like tool guy. I use AMZ Seller Browser. It's like a free extension. You mentioned a similar one that sounded like it had the same function, but basically that'll just embed like the BSR right there on Amazon, and it'll embed like the Keepa results for the BSR history. I use that. I do use the Jungle Scout extension. You can use Camel, Camel, Camel as well, but the Keepa thing is basically the same thing. I'll use the Amazon fee calculator right there on Amazon. Yeah, I mean, nothing else that directly relates to product research, which I assume, I mean, I have a few other tools, like I use Manage by Stats for profitability and pulling customer lists.
Right.
I use Feedback Genius for my email follow-ups.
Managed by Stats a while back. What is the benefit of that? You can get your customer's email address or something, or phone number. I forget.
Yeah, well, so there's a few benefits of it. Managed by Stats in its core is a profitability dashboard. So you can input your costs and get like a report, but it has like an added feature of being able to just run the data on your previous customers, which, I mean, they do have a service called Email Append, but I wouldn't recommend using that because it's pretty shady. But that would basically try to match their name with their real email address. But then you're getting into like legit like spam territory. I wouldn't do that.
Spamville.
Yeah. So, but what I do, which is still probably like lightly gray to Amazon, but it's like they would never know, is I'll just be able to use that data for Facebook ads. So then if I can retarget in some way. And then maybe I could retarget them with something to opt in with their email address.
Which data are you using to retarget on Facebook? The first and last name, or the phone number?
And like zip code. Yeah, well, Amazon removed phone numbers about a year ago or so, but for a while that was working. So I have, some old customers that I have the phone numbers for, but you don't even need it for creating a custom Facebook audience. It'll work pretty well with just what Managed by Stats gives you.
And is that created manually, or do you use a tool to integrate the spreadsheet into Facebook?
No. So Managed by Stats exports the spreadsheet, and then you just literally drag that spreadsheet into the audience creator.
Ad manager.
Yeah, and it'll match up. Like I said, it wouldn't be perfect because obviously it's not going to be able to match every just name and zip code to an actual Facebook account. But still, once you have enough customers, like even if it's like a 50% match, like you're going to have a nice little audience that you can retarget.
Nice. And how do you specifically use that to retarget and sell your products?
So that is something, so I'm diving deeper into this. This is like now getting into some stuff that I'm trying to implement more moving forward. It's been I use that more for just like sort of getting my customers back into my brand. So they'll just be following my brand as I release new products and things like that. So it's less of a direct ROI, like run this ad to those people to get a sale. It's more of like, I'm trying to get those people back into like follow my brand, like follow it on Facebook, get into the little community, follow it on Instagram, things like that. So, but I am diving into like ClickFunnels and going more serious with Facebook ads.
Do you use that audience to stimulate the growth of your new products when you release new products?
Definitely, because I can run an ad, or I can just post it on, say, the Instagram that I've built from those previous customers, and now I have like nothing crazy, but I have like a little audience of people that they've already bought from you. They already have some level of trust from you. So it's honestly, your previous customers are the best people to market to. I get a lot of repeat purchases, and on top of that, Facebook. Like, I don't know how much you mess with this type of stuff, but like lookalike audiences, you can literally, for people that don't know, you can take a Facebook audience, like you input a list, like say you have an email list well, I don't know, actually, I think there's a lower limit. It has to be over a certain number. I forget, but like say you had 10,000 previous customers, you could input that and you can literally tell Facebook, like find more people that are like these people. And then you can just market to those people. So it's really powerful.
Yeah, what you just said about how, your existing customer is like your best customer, it reminded me of that interview that Gary Vee did with the restaurant guru guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
He was talking about how, after one visit to your restaurant, the likeliness of a second visit is this. And after 2 visits, the likeliness is, let's say the first one was 10 and the second one was 15. And then he was like, after 3 good visits, it's a 70% likely return, which is like a significant jump from the second visit or whatever.
Yeah, dude, I really liked that segment. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite segments.
Yeah.
So, real quick, guys, I always forget to do this, but Matt has a YouTube channel. The link is down below in the description. I would appreciate you guys clicking on that and subscribing to his channel. He should have way more subscribers for the content and the quality that he's putting out. His videos are really good, and obviously he's dropping knowledge, and we're happy to have him here with us today. So please do me and him a favor and click on that and subscribe to his channel. If you're listening to this on the podcast, Matt, your YouTube channel is your name, right? Just Matt Loberstein?
Yeah, just search Matt Loberstein or youtube.com/Matt Loberstein.
That's Loberstein, Matt Loberstein. Yep. Yeah, and I watched one of his vlogs today. It's actually really entertaining, which is why I was kind of, when he said his VA was editing his videos, I was like, oh, what? Like, I still edit all my videos, and it takes forever. So, I mean, I like doing it, but it's at the sacrifice of me not producing much more content, So I might have to let that go sometime.
Yeah, I totally can relate. Like, because I'm of the type, like, I know I could get good at editing and I could sit there for 8 hours. Like, I know I'd be of that type of person, but like, it's kind of like the Gary Vee thing is I just thought if I'm going to do this, like, I need it to just be like relatively hands off. And that's really helped me because I don't have to invest that much time. Like, I'm shooting a vlog today. Like, I had my camera there, like even recording a little of this, and like, I'll just upload all that footage and the vlog will be up like probably not tomorrow, but probably the next day.
Nice. How many vlogs are you doing a week? 2 or 3?
Yeah, I would say I'm trying to have like a few different like pillars of content on the channel. Like now I've started like doing Q&A and stuff like that. So
yeah, what is that a specific time? Matt does a Q&A show called Ask Matt. When is that?
So far, it's just been random. But
It's
I mean,
random, guys.
if people think it should be regularly scheduled, then maybe it'll be regularly scheduled.
Yeah, leave a
I just
comment
started
on his
that.
video if you think it should be regularly scheduled. Hit the bell alerts on his channel so that when he does go live, you actually get the alert. And because, like you said, it's random, you never know when the fire is going to come. Follow him on Instagram. It's also at Matt Loberstein. And yeah, just tune in for the fiery content because we're all going to learn here together. And
Yeah,
I
dude, I
just hope
appreciate that.
we can pay you back somehow for all the good content that you're going to give us. So guys, if you follow me, make sure you go follow Mac because he's doing this for free for us, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, I
Um,
appreciate that. I mean, I'm doing this for the long haul, so I'm just trying to get people. I
yeah,
love it. It's been
definitely.
a ton of fun so far.
Yeah, honestly, I like helping people more than I like making money, which is the weirdest thing ever because I'm fully not rich or anything, and it's just like I don't know what it is. I growing up, I never was taught this or whatever. I grew up with a family that raised me with like a scarcity mentality, and so
Yeah.
I never really realized how powerful it could be to help people. And like there's like Gary Vee says how your comments are my oxygen or whatever. I think it's more like crack because
Yeah.
it's insane how uplifting it is for me when like just one person just tells me that I helped them and I'm just like, whoa, like
Dude, I
how did I
agree.
do
I mean,
that?
how long have you been doing Reezy Resells? Like
I've
as a
been doing it
personality?
for almost 2 years. So in
Nice.
January it will be 2 years. January of 2015. Wait, 16? No, of 16. I started my Facebook group, and then I started doing YouTube in like March of that year or
Mhm.
something like that. But yeah, it's going by super fast. I'm having a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
That's like I'm so hyped on social media. I want everyone to have that feeling, and not everyone might be like an Amazon reseller or an entrepreneur, but everyone probably at least everyone that's like striving to be great or whatever. Like you probably have something that you can share with the world, and then you can create content around that. And it's like if you don't know what you should do, like you should probably watch more Gary Vee, but you can just
Exactly.
hit me up and I'll tell you. Like that's how confident I am. I'm like, let's talk for half an hour and I'll tell you like what you should make your content about and like how you could do it or whatever. But I mean, just watch Gary Vee and you'll know he's just giving the game away for free.
Dude, yeah, I 1000% agree. Like I said, I literally had the idea to start YouTube for like a year, but I had all the hesitations. I was just like, there's going to be no one watching. It's awkward and all of that. But like, I wonder if you had sort of a similar experience. But like, as soon as I started putting out there, like the stuff that you're saying, like people coming to you, thanking you, it happened like immediately. And it was just like, whoa, like this is crazy. Like I really only started my YouTube channel probably a little over 2 months ago. And the amount of messages that I already get is like almost, it's like a lot. Like
You're about to
I'm
have to
spending a
hire
lot
a
of time
VA
on
to
it.
answer your DMs.
Dude, yeah. So, but
It,
yeah,
it's it's super
it
cool,
happened so
man.
quickly, which was
It's like
amazing.
I always wanted to start YouTube and like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was like, oh, because I'm a skateboarder. I'm like, well, I'll do skateboarding or maybe I'll do like prank videos or like whatever. Because before I found out who Gary Vee was, I was really hush hush about like what I did and how I made money because I don't run with a lot of entrepreneurs or business types. And so it's kind of
Yeah.
like seen as like bragging if you just talk about how you make money and like there's still people out there that are like, oh, the internet's not for me, and you're just like, dude, give it a rest. And
Dude,
it's
yeah.
like, and I didn't know exactly the formula, and then I read Crush It, which I actually just found when I was sourcing books, and it wasn't worth any money or anything, and I just read it and I was like, dude, who is this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk? And so then I started following him, and then probably in like 2 weeks or less I realized how I was going to do it, and I was like, oh duh, genius, about how to make money. Like just start telling people how to make money and giving it away for
Yeah,
free, and they're
dude.
going to show up to listen. And when they show up to listen, they're going to appreciate you. And then from there, the sky's the limit once people appreciate the value that you're providing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like people, I mean, people just start to like you. It's like you're talking about something that's valuable, but like it was so weird. Literally right before this, I was like at Whole Foods and then I got home and I checked and I have a YouTube comment saying like, dude, I just saw you at Whole Foods, but I didn't say hi or something. I was like, what the heck? Like that was so crazy.
Yeah. What?
But
Oh,
like,
have you been spotted in public yet, or that was like the failed first attempt?
so that would have been the second. I was at a car show and somebody spotted me. Yeah.
It's
But
crazy,
yeah,
right?
I told them, I was like, you should have said I. It's not like I'm getting stopped like all the time or something.
Yeah,
Like,
no, like we love it, man. I love it. And
yeah.
the first time I got recognized in public, like a year and a half ago or something, I was in a Toys R Us and I was buying stuff for to sell on Amazon. And this woman was just like, "Are you Reezy Resells?" And I was like, "Yeah, like what's up?" And she like gave me a hug, and her husband and her kids were there, and so it was like mildly awkward. And I was like scanning products and stuff, and I was like, "This Hot Wheel 4-lane raceway right here, like these are $50, but like you can sell it for 110. You'll make like $35, and like the rank is like 1,200 in toys. It's literally gonna fly. Like I'm gonna take them all, but like if you want one, like you can take one." And then she was like, "Oh no, like I just watch. I don't really do it yet." And I was like, "Come on, like get with the program." But
Yeah.
we took a
Dang.
photo or whatever, and I was like, "Wow, that's crazy," like
Yeah, dude. I totally agree with you just on the social media stuff in general. Like it really is amazing. And I think people are underestimating like the long-term potential and just how people will gravitate you that are interested in whatever it is that you're interested in. Cause like you said about the money thing, like people are weird. Like in real life, people think what we do is like weird as shit. But like in our little spaces on the internet, it's like this is the thing. Like everyone's super pumped about it. So I think that people can find their thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like obviously you're into cars and stuff. I'm not really into cars, but I'm sure that lots of people that do what we do are also into cars or whatever,
Yeah.
and people are going to latch on to those identifying things about you. And like you
Mhm.
said, like the opportunity is massive. And I think a lot of people don't realize it's a bubble. Right now, social media was just basically invented like not too long ago. It's still like there's still new avenues of social media, new platforms, new ways of distributing content. They're happening all the time. And if you don't stay up on them, you're going to miss out on your advantage. And it's like, it might not be like this forever. I don't think it will be. I think in like 5 to 10 years or less, it will be much more concrete. Everything will be established. People will know how to do it. People will start on day one and they'll have filmers full time and editors, et cetera, et cetera. Like right now, you might be a-list celebrity and decide you want to do social media and not really know how to do it properly. And so like people like me and you can compete with like A-list people and rise up
Yeah.
to notoriety when like it shouldn't work like that. It's like a glitch
Dude,
in the matrix.
yeah, like it's gonna be that's the thing that's insane. And that's why like I got in it is because what we're doing is gonna be massively powerful. Like imagine like 20, 30 years from now, it's gonna be impossible to break out from nothing unless you have some major budget, like you said. But like you won't be able to just like be like this. And like it's gonna be so much harder, I think, because everything is going to be more and more and more established. It's like private label. It's like everything's more established now. It's a little harder to
Right
jump
now
in.
the barrier to entry is so low, it's still
Yeah.
acceptable to use your phone for stuff. You could just pull
Yeah,
your
dude.
phone out. It's like don't people like to forget like DJ Khaled is like synonymous with like modern culture and whatnot, but don't forget that it wasn't that long ago that he was just still this guy that was just like yell. I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't successful and famous before then, but he
Mhm.
definitely wasn't known by youth culture and he wasn't at
Yeah.
White House
No, I agree.
correspondence dinners, and he wasn't going on tour with Demi Lovato, is like he was a guy that yelled on the mixtape and he produced beats and whatnot and had some
Yeah, dude.
albums but he started using Snapchat just at the right time and he started going hard on Snapchat and he went from like I think he started in like October was like 3 or 4 years ago or something and then like
Probably.
within like 3 or 4 months he was like world famous off of Snapchat
Yeah, dude.
and that's what I like to call the Khaled effect is like if you get on a certain platform and you fully go into it right before it blows up, it's crazy what could happen.
Definitely, dude. And I think that anyone thinking about starting like some sort of audience should do it like now, because then when that thing comes out, you'll be able to get that kickstart, you know? Like if Snapchat came out right now and you already have your YouTube and Instagram following, funnel them over there or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah,
I totally agree. I mean, we could talk about this subject like for like a day. Like I
we
think
could.
that like it is so grossly underestimated. And that's why I got into it. It's like I was just thinking like, look, if I can just start building an audience around business, like I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 5 or 10 years, but
Right.
having that audience is going to be probably the most valuable thing I've ever done in my life. And that's why I'm just like so hyped about it.
Yeah, definitely. Not to mention documenting your own journey for your own personal use or for your kids to see later down the line or whatever. Do
100%.
like Gary Vee does, and he's like, "This is for my great grandson Johnny." Johnny.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I love that. I agree. And like, I wasn't big on social myself until I started this new thing. And that's what I was
Right.
realizing. I was like, dude, I'm like a ghost. I don't have really any social presence on social media presence. I don't have like, I really don't even take a lot of photos of myself. So
Right.
yeah, dude, this is going to be,
You got to
I'm
take
so
photos of
glad I
yourself,
made this
guys. A lot
decision.
of people still are stuck in like this 1996 thought of taking photos of yourself is selfish or conceited. But what you don't realize is that those photos that you take of yourself, they're not for you. They're for everyone else. That's how people see you nowadays. And so if you don't post selfies, I might we could be talking and interacting a lot on direct message, and we could be at the same venue and I walk right past you. I didn't know it was you. That's not my fault. That's your fault. You need to post more selfies.
Yeah.
So let's transition back into private label talk because we kind of got fired up
30
about
minutes
social
later.
media. I haven't looked at the comments, but I'm pretty sure they hate us right now. Sorry, guys. We're
Well,
gonna
they
go
should
back.
be thinking about this stuff too as they
Yeah,
get
no,
started. They
I
should be
love it. Like,
documenting it. It's going to be the biggest thing ever, and not just from the perspective that we're talking about. Like, you can build an audience. It can be a business thing. You can get into affiliate. You can get into a little bit of YouTube revenue. There's so many potential things that come out of having an audience. Like me now putting myself out there as a private label Amazon dude. Now I'm like going to be like partnering with other people and getting equity in businesses. It's like my own little like Shark Tank thing or whatever. And it's like, dude, there's so much opportunity that comes out of having an audience. So even if
yeah,
you're
people are
thinking
gonna
of
see your
selfish, you need to
YouTube
be doing it
channel,
for the business reasons.
then they're gonna talk to you. They wouldn't have talked to you before. They're gonna say, "Hey, I got 50 grand. I don't have any time to make a private label product. Why don't we go into business on a few products and you guys can negotiate a deal and then you can manage it,
Yeah, dude.
or however, So there's a lot of opportunity that can come, but if, nowadays the ROI on being humble and not like talking about what you do is it's not really good.
I agree, dude. I think that like we're moving away from this. You know how it was like weird to talk about how much money you make or whatever. It's like just kind of all this like old fashioned stuff.
Right.
And I think that the transparency is like the future of all of this. Just being transparent, being yourself, authentic, all of that, but like actually doing it.
Yeah, that was the man keeping us down. So let's go back into private label and let's talk about some of the biggest mistakes that you've made, because I am a firm believer of mistakes are amazing things. They're like the most valuable thing in the world. I learned entirely from mistakes because when I started selling on Amazon 13 years ago, there was no YouTubers or books or video. There was nothing. I just learned by trial and error. So I am very curious to hear about some of the mistakes and lessons that you've learned from those mistakes in private label.
Okay. So let me start with there's basically been two times that I would say products that I've chosen have just been complete failures. Like I have products that do just kind of okay or whatever, and I keep them going. I'm talking about the ones that I like legit stopped. The two issues those times, one was that it was a product that was unproven on Amazon, which is risky because I don't want to necessarily say not to do that, because there's the thing about something that's not yet on Amazon is either you're going to control the whole market and it's going to be absolutely insane for a while, or it's not going to work at all because it's like unproven. Like there's nobody already selling it that has done like that has proven that it sells for you, which is what is so awesome about private label. And that's my number one search criteria normally is like, you want to do what's already selling and then just make it a little better, whatever. So in that case, yeah, it was like there was something similar, but there was nothing of this material. I thought like I could be the first one offering this. The manufacturer I was talking to had just developed it, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. And it just never took off. It was just like, I guess people just didn't want that type of that product, which was unproven. It was brand new. Like nobody knew if it would sell. So that was one mistake for product selection. But again, let me reiterate. I think there's a lot of room there. I know people that have brought products that weren't exactly on Amazon, and it's just a massive opportunity. It's just more risky because it's unproven.
How much did you lose on that one?
I mean, I sold some of them. I don't know. I'd have to check back, but it was probably like a couple grand or whatever, because I sold some of them and then it was just dead. So I just, in the long-term storage fees were going to hit. And I like, yeah, I could have like messed with liquidating it and trying to sell it, but I was just like, I'm just like moving forward, So I just like had them disposed or whatever. Yeah, exactly. And the only other time I trashed it was number 2, which was, so the case in this one, it was that one one seller had established the market for this product. Like they had developed it or whatever. And so there was one seller and they were selling stupid amounts. Like I'm trying to remember, but it was insane. It was like 500 a day or something. And nobody else was selling it yet. It was because China hadn't yet like reverse engineered it. And I was talking to manufacturers that I knew were doing similar products that I was similar because it was sort of almost related to niches that I was already in. So like I knew who to talk to. And they told me like, yeah, like we almost have the mold ready for this product. Like it's going to be crazy. But the thing is that because that product was so hot and it was almost like in a way I would think of it as like a fad or a trend, not like a fidget spinner or something, that I would stay away from 100%. Don't get into anything like super fatty like that. But this was just like something new. It like popped and then China reverse engineered it. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to be like number 2. It's going to be crazy. The problem is that literally by the time my product got there, so did like 200 other people's. So it was just like, it just went from one seller dominating to like 1,000 sellers all sucking in like a matter of like one day. So
Wow.
it would be, so my advice there that could be useful would be like, you know, it kind of ties back into that patience thing is you have to look at this in a little bit longer of a spectrum. Like if you think your product would only work if you launch on this day and that it wouldn't work if you launched a month later, like, dude, it's probably too much of like a short-term fad. Like I try to look for like maybe 5-year trends. I do look for stuff like that, stuff that's emerging over years. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there, but you don't want to try to just like hop in on this super hot opportunity because trust me,
You're going to get burned.
Everyone's going to. So yeah, those are my 2 product selection mistakes. One other mistake was the one time that I had a product, and this is my own fault. This is avoidable stuff. I could tell you how to avoid it. It was like what we were talking about with the inspections. I think I might have briefly mentioned it, or maybe that was on my other live today. We do too much of this shit. It was like that on this one product. I just had like the main person I was talking to at the supplier ended up like quitting. And then I got talking to this other person who wasn't as helpful. And I had already placed the order and they were like not being very accommodating of like, well, I need the packaging like this. I need it padded like this. I need this printed like that. They were just like, yeah. Like it was just really bad communication. And it was supposed to take like a month. It took like 8 months or something. And so eventually I was just like, just send me, I don't even know what you guys are doing, but just like whatever, like we'll just see. And then like what they sent me, I just decided I was going to try to repack it to sell it because the way they had packed it was a breakable item and it was not going to be okay. But then I was just like, dude, this thing is just, there's like other issues with it. So I just decided I just scrapped that inventory too. I never sold it. So that was a mistake that probably cost me a few $1,000s. But you know, I'm just always trying to move forward and launch new products. So I didn't dwell on that like at all. Like I didn't care. I like when people now ask me about my mistakes, it's like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about that in like a year and a half. But yeah, that happened, but it's just all part of that learning process. So I've lost a few $1,000s a handful of times, but I mean, shit, dude, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. In the school of hard knocks, that's definitely worth it. That's definitely another Gary V tenement is pay your mistakes a zero mind. I forget how he phrases it.
And be okay with losing a little money. That was something like when I was in the reseller category, if I could go back there with what I knew now, I would take more risk. Like back then it was like, I don't want to lose money on anything. And like now I would probably just go a little more aggressively and be like, yeah, there's all this upside. When back then I was like, I literally didn't want to have a single item that I resold not be a profit.
Right. Yeah, big mistake. Currently, I'm actually buying a lot of stuff that it's like, it's not making me any money right now, but it's an extremely popular and well-ranked toy with high reviews that I'm assuming is going to be out of stock for Christmas and go up for price. So it's like worst case scenario, I lose 10%, maybe break even, maybe lose 10%. But the potential upside is, exactly. Yeah, I make 50 to 200% on some of these toys. So
exactly, dude. See, I think it'd be a huge mistake to not take risks like that. Like if I end up like making it or whatever, like it is risk is the thing. I mean, if I was just doing the safe thing, I would never have been in this position right now. Like I remember
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you gave me a thought. You said if I make it, and I know that's very subjective, like person to person. So I'm curious, what does making it mean to Matt Loberstein?
It means a lot more than this right now. Like a lot of people now they're watching my stuff and they're like, oh my God, like if I could only be as successful as you and like all this stuff. And it's like flattering and stuff, but it's like, they don't really understand the big picture and like that long-term thinking and all of that. It's like, I'm not a millionaire yet. Like, yeah, I have a million in sales, but it's like I said, it's all tied up back in inventory.
Yeah,
It's all
it's expensive to
reinvested.
live in California.
Yeah, this place. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, I've upgraded my lifestyle a bit. Uh, Nothing like insane, but yeah, I'm sure like a lot of people watching or listening to this from other places would be like, holy crap, at like how much this place is or whatever. But like, there's just so much more level, and that's one thing. Like I live in Southern California, LA area, by the beach, and like I'm surrounded by. And I really think this was a big influence on my mindset. Is I moved out down here from Northern California uh, into a studio apartment.
Whereabouts?
Napa.
Okay, cool. I'm in Santa Cruz.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I grew up in Napa, but now I've been down here for almost five
So do you
years.
have friends and family up there dealing that just dealt with fires and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. Both me and my girlfriend, our parents each live in Napa.
They're
That's
all
like,
right. Yeah. Did they
yeah,
lose some
yeah.
property or anything?
No property. One of my girlfriend has had two cockatiels, and one of them passed away just from the air quality. But so
Oh
now we're
yeah, I heard it was
actually,
gnarly.
yeah. But nothing burned down. It was just that like the air made it bad. So now we're actually taking care of the other one here for a bit. So if there's any
Gets a
squawking,
SoCal vacation.
yeah, exactly,
Nice.
exactly. But yeah, what I was saying though is like just being surrounded by, like, so we were in this little studio apartment, but it was like the way it is down here is like literally next door was like probably like a $10 million house, and it was just like, holy crap, like that's possible. And like now we're in like a much nicer than that apartment, but like it's still like, dude, there's a whole nother level. And then it comes back into impact and making a difference. And there's so much beyond what I'm doing right now. So for me, making it is like, it wouldn't even resemble what I have right now. Like it's hard for me to even say, but it would be massive amounts of more money and more platform just that I can make stuff happen in the world, like create stuff that I want to see and do whatever I want lifestyle and personal wise without even having to think about it. Like I'm not at a point financially myself where I like literally, it's not like I still think about it, obviously, like,
I know
making
you want to
a
go
few
into
hundred grand.
realty in the future, right?
Yeah, no, I for sure would want, like, so I'm not at all, but I would love to have substantial money out of like e-commerce and then be able to like dump that into long-term investments that'll grow and live off that cash flow as I build new businesses and things like that. Like, so as much as what I'm doing right now is awesome and going really well, like, 5, 10, 20 years from now, it's going to be a lot different. So that's the way that I think about making it.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with you on a ton of levels on all that stuff. Everyone has different levels. I think the thing that varies the most with people is the financial level. Is what do you consider, where do you want to live? What kind of house do you want? What kind of car do you want? But I think
Yeah.
everybody would agree, at least successful people or driven people, that they want to have more impact in the world. They want to be able to do more of the stuff they want to do. So right now, yeah, you're doing pretty well with private label. Maybe in the future you can do even better with real estate, and it could be even more hands off. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
dude.
what you're doing is hands off, but obviously you're not driving around and buying products every day.
Exactly. And I want to have multiple things. I want to have multiple streams of income and be building new businesses and investing in things and owning, investments that just pay me passively and then doing more risky things. There's just so many things to do. So like, yeah, what I have right now is cool, but like, dude, this is like what Gary would say is like, this is like the first inning.
Right. Matt's not satisfied.
No, I mean, but
Don't
at the
be
same time,
satisfied. You're grateful. You're
yeah,
just
you
not
have to have some
satisfied.
level of like not being content, but at the same time, it's like, I love where I'm at this point, and I'm super thankful that I've been able to just like use this internet thing to like make a lot more money than people usually make at my
Dude,
age and all of that. It's amazing.
amen. Thank you, internet. That's one thing we
Yeah,
all
dude.
have in common. As I think I
Internet
talk to a
money.
lot of people, and it's like, how'd you get started? And he's like, I was on Google looking around how to make money on the internet. And I was like,
Yeah,
dude,
dude.
me
And money
too.
that you make
Like
on the internet, it works in real life.
a
So
long time. Yeah, internet money, real life. Awesome. Um, so let's go back into product selection for private label.
Mhm.
What in your mind are some of the tenement keys for product selection that you look at? Like as far as, okay, it has to be selling this many units, it needs to have reviews in this area, or not too many reviews, or not too many sellers, or whatever. What are the where's that window on all those factors
Mhm.
for you for product selection?
So just in general, is like you obviously know, and people listening to this know, there's like people that just give exact criteria. And I just want to make the point first is like, they're all in balance with each other, right? And I think that that's something that gets lost a lot. So I personally really truly don't have exact criteria, because if it's a bigger market but there's more potential, like more risk, more investment, but more upside, it's like the same thing we talked about a second ago. So you know, I'm in products all across the spectrum. I'm in products that have 3 competitors, and I think I can sell 10 a day and make $50 a day or whatever. But then I have other products that it's like, dude, this one could be $100 million brand if I really were to scale it out worldwide or something. So it's like having products in different potential markets. But to actually give like a more broke down tactical answer, step 1 for me is existing sales volume. So that's having an understanding of BSR, all of that. So I think the biggest mistake is, and I get this when people send me jungle sets, screenshots, is just looking at a market that just simply doesn't even have enough volume. That for me is like just the most straight up no. It's like, if only the top seller is selling like 5 a day and then everyone else is like 1 a day, it's like, dude, just like there's literally not even a market here. I'd rather be in something that's a little bit overly competitive, big market, than just no market. Because if you win in no market, you win nothing.
You still lose.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, like that's just number 1. Is like, I want to be playing where there's at least money, right? So, right. And I find a lot of, I mean, that one's kind of obvious, but a lot of people make that mistake. So, you know, that comes down to, I like to see if it's a product that only has a few competitors and 2 of them are doing well or something, sweet, that sounds well. And to me, doing well would be maybe one selling 15 a day and the other selling 10 a day or whatever. But at the same time, I might go into a product that has pages and pages and pages of results. And what matters to me then is, do some of these, so are some of them that are further down still selling really well, right? And that, or maybe they have less reviews. Maybe the top guys have 1,000 reviews, but maybe this guy with 45 reviews is still selling pretty dang well. Then I'm still pumped about that market. The pitfall is when you have way more people doing bad at the bottom than you have people doing good, because then you just know, like, you want to think, can I just fit in here and be doing around what I want to do, right?
Yeah, that's
so
that's like a really thin market. So like if you're an eBay seller, that's when you look for completed sales and you see more items that didn't sell than did sell.
It's the same thing. Yeah, I used to do that with eBay days. I totally know what you're talking about. It's the same thing. It's just market depth. It's like, you want to think, you don't want to see 3 people, maybe 3 doing well, but then 12 not doing well. Or you don't want to see like 2 whole pages doing well, but then like 30 pages not doing well, right? So you just want to think, can I fit in here and take a piece of it? So, and that might mean a bigger market with a lot more overall market, more competition, more market. Or it might mean a smaller market that's just the kind of easy win. I just think I can just jump in here really easily, not have a lot of competition, probably a lot less upside. So it's just a balance of upside, competition, and overall market.
What about feedback? Sense? How do you consider that into product selection?
Like reviews?
Yeah. Yeah, I meant reviews, sorry.
Yeah. So my personal belief on reviews is that it matters. It matters, of course. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it matters a little less than people will want to think. Like, I've had many instances where I have a product that has, by the time I get 2 reviews, it starts selling super well, even if the other competitor has 100 or 200. I think there's a big difference from having 0 reviews and having 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 reviews. But you know, the difference between having 5 reviews and 40 reviews, not a huge, massive, tremendous difference. The same thing with 40 versus 250, not a huge, like, yeah, there's some conversion in there, I'm sure, but
basically people are probably just looking at the stars.
Yeah. And like, so this is something that I've started to talk about a lot more recently. And it's so obvious, but I feel like it's one of the main things that people are overlooking is, if your product is genuinely a good offering, people are going to buy it. So put yourself in the buyer's shoes. Like, if you're offering a product that's a little different, it's a little better in some way, it could just come down to your listing makes more sense, your price is a little better, or it's a little more premium, or it comes with this accessory, or whatever. Like, if you would choose your listing amongst these results, somebody else is going to choose your listing. So even if you have 2 reviews or 0 reviews, you're going to get some sales. I always get sales with 0 reviews, just from turning on PPC. Yeah, sure, it might convert a little worse. It might be at a negative ROI at the beginning just to get that initial traction, get those initial reviews, but people will buy it with 0 reviews. So yeah, I mean, that said, reviews matter, of course. I follow up with all customers.
Matter.
Yeah, all reviews matter. Like, you know, I have private label products that have over 1,000 reviews, and yeah, that helps me a lot. And I wouldn't recommend getting into like my own niche right now because it's too established. It's really established now. So that would be really hard. But it comes down to, like I said, if everyone's got 1,000 reviews and anyone without 1,000 reviews is not selling well, that would be a really bad sign. If the top 2 have 1,000 reviews, but then there's one with 100 reviews and one with 30 reviews, and that guy's still selling really well, that wouldn't stop me at all. I mean, if I just want to see somebody proving what I want to do. So if somebody is in there with 20, 30 reviews or whatever, and they're doing well, even amongst some guys with a lot of reviews, then I'm not scared of a few that have a lot of reviews. When I got into that product that now has over 1,000, there were products that had over 1,000 then. So that was the one I was
referring to. Are those guys still around?
More. Yeah, some of them for sure.
So you said you spoke about like adding an accessory or whatever. Is that something that you do often? You bundle items with your private label products?
I would say not super often, actually. I've done it in a few cases. I do it when it makes sense, which I've seen a lot of bundles that I think don't make sense. And I think that actually can hurt you a lot, because now you have a customer who's thinking, well, I wanted this item, but now I'm paying for this other thing that I didn't even want. So it's like, I think the time that a bundle makes sense is when it's like clearly a no-brainer. It's like, I mean, I don't know what an example.
It's like a beard shaping utensil and then like a beard catching thing.
Yeah, like that.
You know what I'm talking about? Those like beard catching clipping things.
Yeah, see,
I actually just bought both of those off AliExpress.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah, see, I would say that would make sense, but geez, I should dig up some examples or something. But
I would love to see that type of content on your Instagram, like terrible bundling ideas. You're just like, what?
Yeah,
who needs this?
I'll try to do more of that, because yeah, I mean, the bundle thing, like the concept is good, and I've done it in cases, but it has to make sense. You don't want to just like be like, well, this item is in this market and this item is in this market, therefore I'll put them together, because you might be cutting the market down by like exponentially, because
right,
maybe there were this market that wanted this and this market that wanted that, but the people that actually want both might be like freaking a sliver of that.
Yeah, there's so many analogous like concepts between all ways of selling. It's like if you have a whole bunch of something to sell and you're being the lazy seller, and so on eBay you lot it all together and sell it. Well, guess what? You're not going to get, premium price per each unit, because for one, you cut off everyone who only wants to buy one, and you only left 2 markets: people who want to resell it and break it down, break bulk, or people who are willing to do that just to get the one that they want, so.
Dude, you're giving me like flashbacks to my eBay days. That's totally true. That's a good, no, it's okay.
Hopefully you don't have nightmares tonight.
That's a good analogy though. I never thought of it that way, but it is really similar to that. It's like just throwing up this lot, or actually see, that's something that I will do. And that's actually a really interesting point that I haven't really broken down much before, is that I will sell the accessory to my own item on a separate listing. See, so then I'll just get the frequently bought together. I'll get more Amazon real estate, more cross promoting. So I'm much more likely to do that than to bundle on one SKU.
If you saw them starting to say people who bought this also bought this, would you then create a third product which was both of them together, or no?
I wouldn't, because I'm pumped about that. I want more Amazon real estate. Like when I can get my own product showing up in my frequently bought together everywhere, I'm super pumped about that. Like I want that as much as possible.
That makes me think, because I did an interview with Larry, Watch Me Amazon, and he was talking about having multiple Amazon accounts so that you could sell the same products but occupy the buy box more frequently, because if there's 5 people and you're 3 of them, you're getting 60% of the buy box.
That is smart, but I don't think that's
that's totally black hat. Totally black hat. We don't.
But, I've done something that's not black hat that is similar. This is
release the same product in 2 packaging?
Almost, yes. So I'll basically copy myself almost. So in some cases, I've released almost the same product under a second one of my brands. And that way it's like, so say I had product 1 under brand A. Brand A is selling product 1, and I lose some sales to this other brand's slight variation of that product, right?
Right.
So now what I might do is go launch that product. And now hopefully I can lose some of these sales to myself, which is like, if I'm going to lose those sales anyways, I'll copy myself and compete with myself. So I have a lot of similar products like that.
That's awesome. That's gold right there. That's a good nugget right there. Compete against yourself.
Yeah. I've done a lot of that.
You might as well lose money to yourself. That's a good one.
Exactly. I'll compete with myself, so I'll get more of that overall real estate on Amazon too. And as far as like with like the separate listings for bundle things, like so say you were selling like a French press and then your next product was like a grinder and you got that frequently bought together, I would just be pumped about that. I wouldn't want to then create a bundle of those two together, because I would, even though those are like related items, like I know you're into coffee, like you probably wouldn't buy, like would you buy a bundle of the two? Or no, you'd probably like research the grinder, research the French press, right?
Yeah. Also, I think about that, like the likeliness of, you know, of someone who's looking for a product actually wanting both at the same time is kind of weird.
Yeah. See, that's a product I would for sure not bundle that. That's an exact example.
Consumable, I think it makes much more sense. Like say you're selling coffee A and coffee B, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to bundle them together. And like, not only, you know, it's a different type of customer, someone who wants two different ones at the same time. And then you're saving money on your per unit fees anyways.
Yeah. So wait, I had an idea. So on the bundling thing, like say, so with that example of the French press and the grinder, that I would not bundle. But you know more about espresso than I do. But I know like there's like the tamper thing, and then you might have like a little brush or something, right?
Right.
Like the little brush thing, like that I would bundle, because that's like a very no-brainer,
it's like
cheap accessory. Yeah, it's a cheap accessory. You need it. It actually would enhance your experience of owning that other thing. So that just makes sense to me. But whereas the grinder and the French press is like two, even though they're in the same market, you should launch those products.
So basically what you're saying is that like if you were selling shoes and I was selling the same shoes, but I offered a free pair of shoelaces, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. But if you had a, like, I don't know,
shoes and a hat, it makes no sense.
Right. Yeah. Then you're cutting people out. So, but to clarify, if my first product was a French press, my second product would be a grinder. And these are examples. These are obviously really saturated niches, but I'm just saying that I wouldn't bundle them. But I would expand like that, because then you're gonna have a product line, right? Then you're gonna have this line of coffee items, and you can get people into your brand that trust you from that first purchase. Well, now they bought the French press, maybe they'll come back to you for the grinder. Maybe some of them will buy your whole line of products.
And maybe you can occupy more screen real estate, because it will say people who bought stuff from this brand also consider. Amazon does. A lot of people don't know this, but your customers don't actually have to look at the other stuff in your brand for it to start showing up on the bottom of the screen as customers who bought this, or also looked or shopped or whatever the hell it says. They don't actually do it. Amazon just does it because they know it's going to create more sales, and they make money when you make money.
Exactly. And just to tie in that last point to what I was talking about a few minutes ago is, so if I had that French press and then I added that grinder and I have this product line or whatever, but then say that first French press was frequently bought together with some other brands of French press that was a slightly different style. Well, I'm going to release another French press, compete with myself, right? So then more real estate. So maybe two of the hits for French press are you, and then there's your grinder, your product line as well. So that's kind of the way I think about like expanding like that.
Awesome. So let's talk about product launch strategies. What is something you do when you launch a product? What's your process and your workflow for launching a new product?
So are you talking like after sourcing it, like when it's actually hitting Amazon going live?
Yeah, it's just you haven't sold one unit yet.
Okay, so
you just got it, or it's probably inbound to Amazon or something like that, or you didn't even ship it yet because you're making the listing, etc.
So this is something drastically different from 3 years ago, for example, because back then what people would do they would do these massive giveaways. So you'd give away your product like for free or for like $1, and you'd give it away to these review sites, and it was allowed at the time to give away, to have incentivized reviews is what Amazon called it. So you would give away the product in exchange for a review. So back then you would give away big sellers might do like thousands literally, but like, back then you might do 50 or 100 products, you give them away at a huge loss, but then boom, you're going to have like a bunch of reviews, you're off to the races, right? So, but that's long gone. That's now
you can still use the same tactic to stimulate your seller rank though, right?
You can give out coupon codes, but any manipulation is against, I mean, the terms of service basically says any manipulation is against terms of service. So, I mean, I don't do any of the blasts or giveaway services for reasons I could get into more, is because even now that they don't ask for a review, it's the same pool of buyers that it was before. Amazon knows that. So
Right.
I don't touch those at this point. Like there's a few of them that, you know, they still claim to be within the terms now. Cause like, oh yeah, now we don't ask for review, but it's like, hey guys, like remember what we were doing before? It's like, I don't know. It's super shady in my opinion at this point. So to finish the question though, is that back then it was like this extravaganza launch, right? It was this like big launch day, right? You'd blast out your products, you'd ramp everything up, you'd get reviews flowing in, and you're just like push. So I think with the current landscape though, I definitely go for a much more just soft launch approach, a little bit of patience, a little bit of, you know, I roll out PPC day 1, 0 reviews. Everyone should do that. I can't believe that people wait. I would for sure start with automatic, even if you start with manual on top of it. I would do manual as well if you have some very obvious keywords that you want to experiment with. Like
But
if you
automatic,
know,
just to see where the market takes you, right?
yeah, I would for sure do automatic, even if you do manual. You just let Amazon's algorithm be smart for you. So, you know, I run PPC day 1. A lot of people are worried about losing a little money up front, but that spend, yeah, it probably won't be profitable day 1. Maybe it will in some cases. Some products definitely are. But even if it's not, hopefully it helps you get that momentum going. And, you know, 1 or 2 sales a day, a week later, you have your first review, then you get 3 sales a day, then 3 sales a day, then 4 sales a day, then 5 sales a day. Now you have 5 reviews. It's just like kind of this like snowballing thing. You know, in a less competitive category, especially like I said, a good offering, there's still a lot of potential in this like soft launch thing. I've done that since the review change. And now I have products that have soft launched, never did any weird anything, and now have well over 150 reviews. So it works if you have a product that people are looking for, right? So that doesn't mean just copying exactly the same of what a whole bunch of, you know, silicone gloves or whatever that everyone does. Like you're gonna not win doing
garlic press.
yeah, garlic press, silicone garlic press might work. But
Hold on, let me write that down.
Yeah. That's your first product, Reezy silicone garlic press. Yeah. Where was I?
So soft launch.
Yeah. That said, there's a lot of stuff that I'm personally starting to experiment with moving forward, you know, and I have my existing audiences. So the best thing you can do is expand horizontally within brands and products that you've already launched, because you can leverage cross promotions on Amazon, get the frequently bought together. That'll get you rolling right away. Like if your first product was that French press and your second product is that grinder, run a cross promotion, and then you'll get into frequently bought together, and that can get the ball rolling softly right away. Stuff that is a little more like high level stuff that I'm starting to implement now that I haven't yet done for a launch, but it's that, you know, it's everything internet marketing you could apply to it. Anything you can do to get external traffic is going to help you. And that could be building an audience on YouTube. You could literally start a YouTube coffee channel. That's just an example, but you could start Facebook pages. You could start running Facebook ads to opt in for an email list. You can offer people coupons. What I don't want to do is give them to the review groups. So there's a big difference between using the review group and giving them a 50% off code versus running a Facebook ad to random people, or people, not random, people that are targeted, but they're not these reviewers, right?
Right.
And running ads to those people and offering them a coupon, that is legit. That is a real sale. That is not there's nothing arguably wrong with that at all. You can give out coupons. What I just don't do is do it through like those pools of buyers. So, you know, that's stuff that I'm starting to play with more, like with ClickFunnels, Facebook ads, all of that.
You can do any certain type of link to give to your customer to drive the sale in that situation. I recently was listening to a Manny Coates AM/PM podcast, and I think he was talking about two-tier link or something. Basically, it's go to your storefront and search for the product, and then take that URL and give that to the customer. So it's like the new version of the super URL.
Yeah, I mean that's another gray area. I mean, again, it's manipulation
Yeah, he
of
did
search
say, he's
terms.
like, it's a gray area, not technically against the rules, but everybody is doing it. And because it doesn't take them to the product, it takes them to your storefront, and then they have to click on the product still.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, it doesn't have to be that. It depends how you're doing it. That's probably clean. I'm not saying nobody's going to get banned for that probably, but I'm iffy about the keyword weighting stuff. So, but for example, on my Instagram for one of my brands, I don't want to link like I link them to my storefront with the search term for the brand name. So therefore they can see the products within that brand, right?
Right.
So you could argue that that is doing what you're talking about, but
Right.
in
You're
that
over
case, it's just like
indexing
that link makes sense, right? Because it's
basically.
like I'm not gonna
Amazon
just
thinks customers are going to Amazon and searching for your brand.
yeah. So what you can do, and this is a little gray, but again, it's
We love gray around here.
so like this is stuff that I'm implementing now. Well, whether or not it has this tactic in it, you can switch this out. But say like a two-step funnel built in ClickFunnels, and the first page, so you'd run like a Facebook ad or have traffic from anywhere you want, and your first page is basically like a sales page slash or like an email opt-in and explanation of your product. So you get them to enter your email on that page, and you can have that Facebook pixeled and everything for retargeting. You get their email if you want. Again, you could change any of these steps. But then once they opt in for your 50% off of your new silicone garlic press, then you get their email, you get them pixeled, takes them to the second page in the funnel, which this is where it would get a little bit tricky if you want to do it this way. On this page, you could just give them the coupon code and a link to your product. It could be one of those links that you just talked about. Or you could literally say, go to Amazon.com, type in silicone garlic press, and show a little photo.
12.
Yeah, so show a photo and be like, it's this one. You can do stuff like that. So it's like, how are you really going to get caught doing that? But I don't know. I'm like paranoid about Amazon for sure. So I mean, I don't even know. I probably wouldn't even do that myself. But I am implementing funnels like that. Except I would probably just go for the straight link, especially when you're building brand, getting more sales. It expands your brand, you know. And I have products that people talk about. Like one thing that I'm super proud of with my main brand is like it literally has search volume for my brand name, which is super cool. Like I have like a PPC campaign for my brand name, and like the conversions from people just searching specifically for my brand name is like 30K in sales just from people actually typing in my brand name, which is cool.
That's awesome.
But like that's what you want. You know, you want people who are looking for your product in the long run. And that's getting into something that is thinking so much longer term than just this short Amazon game. Because a brand, you could build a brand for the next decade.
Right. You could get that product carried in a retail store.
Right. It's like, you know, you can just literally grow it for as long as you want. And that's something that can be sold too. Which
I mean, and once you get into it, like what you're talking about, the serious long-term growth of building a brand, it changes the way. I mean, I haven't even done it, but I've like thought about it so much that my mind is already kind of there to where like when I walk through a retail store and I like pick up products, I'm like, I wonder how much this costs on Alibaba or DHgate or whatever. And then I'm like looking at the packaging and I'm like, this is so cheap packaging. Like,
yeah, dude.
You know, even just t-shirts, you know, like I make my own t-shirts now. And so I'm like, why would I wear anyone unless I truly love you? Like if you're not Gary V, I'm not wearing your damn t-shirt. Like, and it's such a stark contrast from when I was a kid growing up. All I wanted to wear was like these different brand t-shirts. And I was like, now I'm like, why? What did they ever do for me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm sure you have that experience, right? When you walk through a store, you like looking at the products.
I can't like look at a product without thinking like, is that a potential market? like literally like there's a chair sitting right there and I'm just like, I bet you could source that chair for a lot less than it sells for. I mean, that's just like literally how the entire world works. And the thing that's crazy is like when I was a reseller, I thought that was like some sort of like hidden, like, what's even the word? Like it was some like evil thing. It was like, dude, can you believe that this battery thing costs $5 in China and they sell it for 40? It's like, can you believe that? But it's like, dude, that's everything. You're investing in their research and development. You're investing in their logistics, their fulfillment, the brand that they've built, the fact that they have the regulations, all of the stuff. Like that's literally just how manufacturing and products work. Like,
yeah, it's like literally 90% of everything. If it's not a specific thing like this MacBook, that iPhone, this, you know, like whatever, like this microphone, like the microphone itself, okay, they made that. But this arm thing, like they didn't make that. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of these, you know?
Exactly. But like, so my point with that is though that by building brand, that is the thing that really has value. Is you have trust, you have people that are like Anchor. That's the brand of this battery pack. Like I'm pretty sure they started on Amazon literally, and they're like some $50 million brand or maybe even more. I don't know. They're huge, but like that they're a great example because I trust them. Like I have literally like a bunch of like Anchor charging stuff because I know that they're legit and they have
like
trust
my
and they have a
SD
brand.
card readers are Anchor brand, or my USB-C to USB 3.0 adapters. Those are all Anchor brand.
And they've built that brand in a matter of a few years, maybe 5.
It's
Like
crazy.
that's insane. And that brand has like I don't know off the top of my hand. You could probably Google it, but I bet you that I would not be surprised if that brand is valued at 9 figures.
Yeah,
I would
that's
not
awesome.
be surprised. At least 8.
It's crazy what you can do nowadays. You want to answer some questions from the chat?
Yeah, dude. Whatever's good. I've got unlimited time.
All right, we're gonna do 5 more hours.
All right, 5 hours.
Let's go to the let's do an 8-hour broadcast. I think that's the limit.
The true fans.
Yeah, so we're gonna take some questions from the chat. I see we got 67 people watching right now, and we only have 49 thumbs up. So if you could please smash the like button, we would really, really appreciate it. And we are going to go through some of your questions. So first question from Josie. She says, what should your PPC budget be for new products?
I would generally say start experimenting with at least like $30 or so per day. But then truthfully, you'll be playing it like an instrument, you know? Like if you can spend $30 your first day and profit, like if you like say you have $10 profit per each and you sell at least 3 on that first day, like dude, then you're playing the game of how much can I spend instead of how much am I willing to spend? It's how much can I spend? Like if you can put $1 into ads and get back 2, you should be trying to spend infinity dollars. So you need to find how far you can push it. And that can be a massive way to grow your overall sales, even if it's at break even, because those sales are going to help you rank and help you move up and help you get that proliferation through frequently bought together. Customers who also viewed. It's going to help you get reviews. It's going to help you boost up just the search results for those keywords that people buy it through. So yeah, I mean, but I would say like 30 is like a safe place to start. Most people are pretty comfortable with that. You know, if you spend 30 for the first few days and there's like 0 sales or something, then you're going to tune it down, you know? So you have to make sure you're not bleeding money. Then you might need to test some other things out. Something might be wrong with your listing, your conversion, things like that. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to start. And then obviously that's where you start adjusting up or down.
Awesome. What are you paying for freight forwarding?
I mean, obviously it varies by the shipping. I mean, I mostly do, or by the size, sorry. I do honestly mostly full containers at this point. So a 40-foot, I mean, the base rate has recently been about $3,000. Then there's a lot of other like random fees, like, and it depends on the value of the shipment too, because you have to pay import duties based on the value of the shipment. But like, you know, a 40-footer is like, probably works out in the end to like $5,000-6,000, and a 20-footer probably like 3 to 4, I think.
And that gets forwarded directly to Amazon.
Well, so the way I do it is I have that freight forwarder who I purchased it through. They coordinate it from, I'd use FOB terms, which means the supplier gets it to the port in China, and then the freight forwarder FOB takes it from the port to port here in through customs. So that's like the method that I use. So what I do is I have a freight forwarder that has a US warehouse outside LA. So I have them bring the whole container into their warehouse, and then they palletize it or put on the ground labels if I'm doing that. Usually I do pallets. You save a ton of money that way. They'll do that prep, and then it'll be picked up to Amazon. So it stops.
So you're actually probably at this point just duplicating previous pallet shipments then, right?
Pretty much. I mean, the quantities are usually a little different each time because I have like a lot of different colors and different products that are mixed in the same shipments and stuff like that. So it's not the exact thing every time, but yeah, I mean, it's comparable. But yeah, that's the way. I mean, and again, we touched on this earlier. I started out not having that sort of flow at all. Like I was having products show up to our studio apartment that I mentioned, and we'd be like slapping labels on, and it was just a disaster. So, but you can, as you scale, you'll figure out how to use freight forwarders like I am. But as far as having like literally a container go from China to Amazon without a freight forward in the middle, like that would complicate things. There are some people that have them palletized in China, but I haven't done that just because I would just want to make sure everything gets here safely, and then I can make sure that it's labeled here correctly and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So that's my method.
Definitely. Yeah, everyone has a little bit different way to cut the cheese.
Yeah.
Let's see. Someone says, I don't think FBA works with my country yet, Australia. I think it's starting though. They said, so should I just wait for the few months, or what are my options?
You could sell in the US. I'm almost entirely sure that Australians are allowed to sell on the US Amazon. You just, no matter what country you're on, if you're trying to sell in the US, you just have to figure out your own like
nothing
legal...
that you're doing is dependent on the fact that you live in the United States, right?
Yeah, the only difference is that you have to figure out like your own legal and tax situation based on wherever you live. But once you get through that hurdle, you can sell in the US the same way I can. So I would still consider that. For people that are in like the UK, I would say in that case, I mean, you can try the UK market because it's going to be easier for you because you already understand that. Like, for example, for me, I need to get into the UK, but I need to figure out the VAT and all that stuff that I don't understand exactly. I need to do that research. So if I was in the UK, I might first just try it because it's there and it's less competition. It's a smaller market, but it's less competition.
It's probably a little less saturated than the American market too.
Much, but it's also smaller. So, you know, if I was over there, I would probably try it first, but then I would definitely be thinking about expanding into the US as well. So, and yeah, Australia is coming. I know that for a fact. So I would probably try to jump onto that whenever that arrives, if you're in Australia. But yeah,
getting going when it gets started is going to be a huge boon. Like, you're going to kill it.
It's going to be stupid.
Yeah, people are going to, you know, I mean, I imagine if Amazon is several months away from starting up in Australia, that they're probably already running television ads and there's probably already billboards if they do billboards in Australia or whatever. But it's going to be huge getting in the forefront of the pack there.
It's a crazy idea, but like, you know, there were these products that were such big hits on Amazon, like early days. Like I'm talking like literally like the top 100 BSR type of products. And like, that's the type of stuff now in the US would be way too hard to get into. But it's an interesting prospect to think, can I create a brand around products like that in an emerging market? Because now you're going to be, nobody's going to already be established with 10,000 reviews in those markets. So it's interesting, you know, like the fish oils and stuff like that, like the stuff that just sells stupid numbers. It's an interesting idea. I'm sure you'll get a lot of competition right away with some major brands coming in, but yeah, I'd probably go pretty hard into like some items that look a little too saturated in the US, if that makes sense.
Right, because the people that are buying those, I'm assuming they are still buying them because they're just general commodity stuff. You know, they still have to drive to the store and get it, and you know, all the same reasons people buy stuff on Amazon. And if they're buying it from the US, Lord knows how long it takes to get to Australia.
Yeah, dude. Big opportunity.
Definitely. Is there any trainings for private label that you recommend yourself, Matt? I know you do consultations, and like people can go to your Instagram bio or your YouTube videos and sign up for a 30-minute or a 1-hour call with you. But is there any courses or training out there that you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting asked this. I don't know. I mean, I can't vouch for any that are out there because I haven't taken them. You know, when I started doing this, it was kind of more just figure it out as you go. But I mean, I think there's a lot of value in the idea of a course because you commit to it. It's all laid out there. Like I see a lot of people that are doing well with that. So, I mean, but yeah, I can't personally vouch for the existing ones because I don't know what's in there. And I think that there's a lot of weird information out there right now. Like I said, like for example, with the whole giveaway thing, I know for a fact that a couple of the courses that I've heard of are still saying that stuff. And I'm just like, dude, like that's 3 years ago. Like, I don't know. So right. I'm personally really iffy about it. I have a Facebook group. I don't know if I can plug that, but you can come into my
plug away, man. Whatever you want. You're giving us a tremendous
you can get into my Facebook
value.
group. You can, you know, that's probably at this point that's the best way to get an answer from me. Or now I have people that are pitching in, which is nice. So you know, you'll get answers that way. So that's a good place. And anything that I'm coaching or offering is going to be in there. So definitely get in there. You know, watch my videos. Yeah, like Reezy said, I started doing consultations out of people asking me, do you do consultations? So I started doing that now. So you can find the link in my descriptions, and yeah.
This whole interview is essentially one long consultation with me.
Dude, yeah, I'll send you the invoice after this.
Oh, damn it. Can I pay you in water bottles? Someone says, I know the answer to that question. Someone says, where did you get your VA? What services do you like to use for VAs?
Yeah, I made a video about that. But the one that I've used is onlinejobs.ph. You know, the stuff like Upwork and Fiverr, it's good if you just have a one-off task, but online jobs I think is the best for finding like employees, right? People that are going to stick around in your business, grow with you, really be in it as a job. That's what the people on online jobs are looking for.
And that's where you found your video editor, correct?
Yeah. Well, like I said, my video editor was already in my business, but yeah, I found him there. But he's been doing other stuff in my business for over a year, and that's where I found him. He was starting.
Awesome.
He does customer service and photo, and now he does video. But yeah, I found him there.
I need to go. So he monitors your email, then I'm guessing.
So not my email, but I have him monitoring the Amazon messages, but I haven't had him like do my own outside of Amazon emails. But yeah, he's monitoring like the emails that come through Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. On a side note, having a VA is very useful and important. I'm just starting to learn it with having VAs do designs for me. And I think about all the other stuff, like what you said right now about monitoring your own personal email, because obviously if you've read the 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss talks about all of that a lot.
I've got it right there on the shelf.
I recently learned that people, and this is a beautiful thing. I mean, I already knew that Ty Lopez pays people to read books for him, to summarize them for him. And that's how he reads a book a day, because he has someone summarize it to him. But
that's funny.
What I recently learned is that there's people that have full-time content consumption people. So their entire job is just to consume content related to the niche they want to learn about and summarize the important aspects of it to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's legit. I totally think that could work. Or that could work for content writing for a brand, for example. Like say your brand is about, again, I'll use the coffee example. Like you could pay someone to just accumulate that knowledge and sort of like, you know, get it all together for you. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that you can
VAs are
create
people, you know,
content.
like they can do what you can do.
Right, so that you can create content around that. Like I could fully do a live show, fully unprepared, just like Reezy, go. Here's what you're going to talk about. We got it ready for you. This is all the Amazon-related news for the last week, you know?
Yeah, dude, it's really, and it's just because like there's a massive arbitrage just because of cost of living and stuff like that. So, you know, you're really talking like $2 to $4 an hour for qualified people too. Like,
right.
I mean, like that's the equivalent. That's not the equivalent of minimum wage in the US. That's like $4 an hour in the Philippines. That's the equivalent of making like 25 an hour in the US.
Yeah. That's like good living, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty good, but I mean, like the living conditions in general are a little rougher, but what I mean is it's far above minimum wage there. Like minimum wage is like $1.50 or something.
Yeah. I have some VAs. I pay $4 a design, and they live in Venezuela. And I think the average like monthly salary there is like $50 or $60 a month. So if they make 10 shirts for me in a day and I give them $40, they're balling.
Yeah, that's super high for sure. $40 a day in those types of countries is definitely pretty balling. Yeah.
I'm probably
their year salary is like, you know, a couple grand.
Is there any podcasts that you like to listen to for private label or for Amazon in general, and maybe shout out a couple business or inspiration, motivation podcasts that you like to listen to?
Yeah, sure. I'll break it into a couple categories. So there's like some tactical Amazon ones that even I personally like kind of don't listen to that much because I'm just already in it. But I think for people starting out, The Amazing Seller is worthwhile for sure. That's a really good intro to just private label and everything. I'd probably go back a while because I don't know what they're talking about nowadays, but I would go back, but then I'd be careful about some of like those rule changes I mentioned and stuff like that. But there was definitely a lot of useful content that I heard a long time ago. Also the AM/PM that you mentioned. I would definitely recommend Freedom Fastlane, Ryan Moran. He's super, I really like his podcast. Like he's thinking, he did Amazon, but he's had this bigger vision the same way that I do. I've listened to him for a few years and I've got a lot of this from him for sure. So yeah, like he sold a brand for like 10 million recently. And he runs like a conference and he does everything. He had Gary Vee at his first event. as a speaker. He probably paid him a lot, but yeah, so he's awesome just for like high level, not so much the tactical Amazon stuff, but like high level brand and physical product business, not just like Amazon seller, but like physical product business. He's just really got a big mindset. So I'm a huge fan of that. Getting into more general, of course, Gary Vee, though I personally follow him on YouTube much more than podcasts, because at least for a while, the podcast was mostly like rehashed videos and stuff.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Sometimes I'd be like, yeah, I felt like that was like weird because I'd like listen to him and be like, wait, I already like saw this. And I don't know. So
yeah,
then
you'd go through the podcast and you'd be like, hold on, I have to only watch the ones that are titled Ask Gary Vee.
Yeah, yeah. So I think maybe he's getting it together, but definitely his podcast was pretty like disorganized. It's because it's like what he says, it wasn't native. His podcast was not native. I don't know if it is now. I haven't checked recently, but it was not like a native podcast. Like I would love to hear a native Gary Vee podcast. It'd be the best. Like him sitting down, intimate interview. That's not like a YouTube video or whatever. That would be awesome. But
right.
I mean, Gary Vee is like, obviously, I mean, this shirt is Gary Vee. I love Gary Vee. Like I'm like obsessed, but not really the podcast, more of Daily V, everything on YouTube, keynotes, Ask Gary Vee. Well, now it's on Facebook.
Some of the stuff the man says is just, it's way too genius for him to have just said it. I'm just like, and it happens again and again. Like, I'm like, Jesus, how did you come up with that? And
it just comes through him.
Yeah, he just came up with it, and you're like, dude, how are you the
dude?
goat?
What I like is when he does that, and then he's like, "Ooh, that was good." Like he's like, "Damn!" Like,
yeah, exactly, because he's super self-aware and he knows when it happens now.
Yeah, that's funny. Other content that I'm really into Tim Ferriss. You mentioned the 4-Hour Work Week. His podcast. We're getting less tactical, but just I love his podcast.
Yeah, he interviews a lot of really successful people, and he has a pretty good way of going about asking them, similar. Even if it's like, what did you eat for breakfast? He has that whole thing where he asks like the same 10 or 20 questions to everybody, and I think that's super great.
Yeah, if for people that aren't aware, is like his whole concept is breaking down what is similar about really high level performers and people in all aspects. Like, so it's not just business people, but it's like, what do the top of every field have in common? And so I just think that there's a lot of value in that, no matter what you're gonna be doing, because no matter what you're doing, you should be trying to be the best at it.
Definitely. This question is kind of, I don't know if we're going to be able to piece together the answer on this one. We'll see.
All right.
Did you ever have problems with the same product but different variations when Amazon picks the items? How can you help from that problem from happening?
I actually did have that problem, but I don't know if I can give any great advice other than get on support and tell them like, hey, what are you guys doing? But I did have an issue like that where like I had 2 different colors. They kept putting the FN SKU for the wrong color over my existing FN SKU, which was already there. And I was just like, what's going on here? Like, why? It was like one fulfillment center must have, for some reason, thought they were mislabeled. So then they relabeled it with the wrong color. But I don't know, for stuff like that, you just get on support, with the way support is, you might have to get on support a few times. But
a few hundred times.
Yeah, but that type of stuff, when it happens, it's like, holy crap, but it gets worked out. You'll figure it out.
Right.
Just
and usually if it's their fault, they're going to reimburse you for the lost sale.
Yeah, exactly. So, you got to deal with it, but you'll be fine.
Here's a good one. How do you deal with your competitors' fluctuating prices?
How do I deal with my competitors' fluctuating prices? By not paying that much attention to it. I pay more attention to what's going on my own, how well I'm selling. I might fluctuate price based on how well I'm selling, but
do you adjust all your prices?
I don't. Yeah. With private label, you're not really going to be doing that because obviously you control the buy box, all of that. So I don't adjust prices super frequently unless I'm testing. If I have an item that's not selling well, I might try a lower price, or in some cases a higher price. Sometimes a higher price sells more than a lower price if your product is coming in at a premium angle. It's all about that psychology of the listing. Like, does this offering look legit? So,
right, do you have products that were once doing well that you had to abandon basically because of the competition increased too much to where it wasn't worthwhile for you to sell it, or for any other reasons?
So I have ones like that I still sell. They've just taken a huge hit, but I still keep them running. But yeah, my very first product from like 3 years ago, that initial product line was one that when this whole like private label thing really like popped as a thing, because when I started, it wasn't really like a thing. When it really popped as a thing, that was when like, dude, that niche, I was like probably the third seller in that niche. And I mean, it was really great, but then 9 months later or so, there were hundreds. So I still have that one running, but it's not what it used to. That's another example that I meant to mention this earlier when you asked about the reviews, how I said the thing about I've had products that have like 3 reviews and they start selling really well. Well, I also have products that have like 3, 4, 500 that are no longer selling that well. So that kind of ties in with what I meant about like reviews aren't everything. So, yeah, I mean, I have that. And that's why we didn't really get into this, but my philosophy going forward with Amazon is having a product portfolio. You cannot have everything tied up in one product. That is a terrible strategy now. Like, I think it used to be this, like, how do I find the one gold mine product? Now I just literally, if I have a new product that starts doing well, that's cool, but I'm looking for the next one, because some are going to die. Some are going to exceed your expectations. Some are going to be less than your expectations. So I'm always trying to expand and have a portfolio. It's safer too. What if one product gets suspended? What if one product gets too competitive or whatever? Like, you should always be trying to grow your portfolio, because it's a much safer to have,
to hedge your bet.
You know, exactly. So like, I think the way, like, if, you know, I think the easiest and most viable way that the most people are going to get to a 6-figure income with private label now is going to be from having 10 products that each do 500 to 3,000 profit per month, rather than trying to find that one hit. So that's the philosophy that I think people should have moving forward, is you can't be too tied to that one product. You got to be just building a portfolio.
Great. From Wiley G, can you talk more about how you communicate and assign tasks for your VA? How are tasks like assigned and prioritized, and your thoughts on personal brands in this space? I think we already spoke about the whole personal brand aspect, so maybe just tune into the communication with the VA.
So I'm like not an extremely organized person in that way. So honestly, it's basically like we message each other on Skype, and I'm just like, you know, he knows his sort of core tasks and he just knows it. And if I have something else, I'm just like, it's literally like just in Skype messaging, not even it's just in like the instant message type of Skype texting. And like, I'll just be like, hey, like, there's this thing, can you do blah, 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 blah. Like, it's super not extremely structured. So that might not be a great answer, but, you know, like I said, like, I think that people kind of think of VAs as like this like mystical thing. And it's like, dude, they're just people. Like, so you can just be like, hey, like, do you think after you do that, you could do this, you know?
Right. Yeah, I feel you, because because these VAs are the first ones that I've had, the designers. And at first we were just emailing. And once I got them off of Fiverr, we're just emailing, and then Google Docs spreadsheet, and like, here's the key code for the work assignments, like blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, can you just get Skype? Because like, there's days that go by where like we don't get stuff done because I didn't check my email, and like, you know, you messaged me right back, but I didn't check it for 8 hours, you know? So I needed it to be on more direct on my phone, easier, right? So I was like, hey, get Skype. Like, and they're like, oh, I already got Skype, add me. Okay, cool. So now we're on Skype. And then after we talk back and forth, you know, it's so much more loose. You can joke, you can throw like emojis out. And then I was like, you know what? Like, dude, she just did such a good job. I'm just going to like send her a video message, you know? And then she sent me back a video message. And now it's much more like the employee, boss, friend, if you will, like relationship, you know? So it's like, I think communicating on Skype, while it may be like less professional, like, I don't think that's the world that we live in anymore. I think we live in the world where like you text message your employees, you know, it's just more social. And I think like the ROI on the work you're going to get is going to be better if they actually like you. And it's,
dude,
I don't know. I can't explain it. I just know
like
that
exceeded my imagination of an answer to that question. That was really like the perfect answer. Cause like me and my VA, we're literally friends. Like, we literally just like, we'll talk about random shit sometimes, like whatever. And that, I agree, it's a better relationship. He loves his job way more. All his friends are like, how'd you get this job working for this like chill dude where you work at home or whatever? Like, they're all like jealous of him. He loves it. So yeah, it's about having that relationship, being loose, being normal, being yourself. It ties back to that authenticity thing, even ties into the personal brand question, which I guess, I mean, my short answer to that would be like, yeah, we talked about it earlier, but I think me and Reezy both agree that like, this is huge. I mean, massive. But at the same time, if you tie it in with like the Gary Vee thing, is like you can't be an expert if you're not an expert. So either you're documenting you from scratch, or you're like me or Reezy, where it's like, hey, we did a cool thing. Here's the thing that we do, and we're documenting it for
it's
it. But you
essentially
can't just go
your
like,
personal
I'm going to
brand is
be
like
the Amazon. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
your
You can't
business
just be like,
card.
I'm
Your
going to go
personal
be
brand is
that
your
guy that
business
I've never
card.
been. Yeah, exactly. It's your business card. It's your resume. It's everything. Like, I think it's so underestimated.
Yeah, a lot of
Like,
people do that too. They tell me they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna start YouTube," and I'm like, "All right, cool. What's it gonna be about?" And they're like, "I'm gonna do it about reselling." I'm like, "Dude, you just started 2 months ago."
yeah,
And they're
which
like,
I
"Well,
think is
what
fine.
else do I?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
if they're approaching like from the documentation style, but most
Exactly.
people are trying to do like essentially what I do, and they're like trying to give advice, and it's like they
Yeah,
don't
see.
understand like why would people listen to you? Like you have to have that why that like that draws people
Exactly.
around you. What did you do? Like, and like I just talked to a woman who she's a reseller, and she was like grateful that I got her into reselling, but she was like, your advice about starting a YouTube channel has really kicked me in the butt. And she's like, I was a pro indoor volleyball player out of college or whatever, and like I was thinking about doing a YouTube channel about like teaching kids like out of basically a YouTube volleyball coach, you know. And I was like, do
Yeah,
it.
dude. Do
That's
that.
killer. Like you have the
Yeah.
perfect stats for that. You know, people can Google that. They can see that you were on a
Yeah.
nationally ranked team. They can see YouTube videos of you stuffing it in people's faces, you know? So it's like
Dude,
it has to be
100%.
some
Like
kind
if
of
you have a thing,
quantifiable thing that will bring
yeah.
people around you. And then, you know, okay, I'll listen to him. Then do you actually, you know, do your job? And on top of that, are you a likable person, you know, because some people are, you know, you're not going to be good on camera, you're not going to be good
Yeah.
on radio, you're not going to be a good writer. Like you have to find what you're good at. And then, you know, like, do you like what you're doing? Because like I think everyone likes helping people. So it's like it just amazes me how like you can find your passion in life. Like I can tell anyone how to find your passion. Like it's like, what are you good at? What do people also willing to pay you for? How can you help people? And like
Yeah.
mash it all up into one, and then that's your passion.
Dude, 100%. Like you said, Gary Vee's giving all this away for free. It's everything he talks about. I just 100% believe in it. If you have a thing like that, like the volleyball example, 1,000%. I mean, you should just be that. But the problem is like, if you're listening to this, you just heard a private label and you're like, I'm going to be the private label guy. That's a problem. Unless you're just like, hey, like I'm trying to figure this out. Here's what I'm doing. You know, I'm trying to research it. This didn't work. Like, that's cool. I wish I had that now because it would be really cool.
Exactly.
It'd be
You
really
could
cool
see
for
like
that.
the frustrated vlog where the one where you lost $3,000, you know, you'd be pissed in
Exactly.
that vlog.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's just about, but at the same time, I do think that's much harder to grow. I think that the reason that I've been able to get like initial traction in just 2 months, like I mean, nothing crazy, but I have like 2,500 subscribers in 2 months. So I think that's pretty good. But I think it's because I've done something, you know, it would have,
Exactly.
it would have
It's
been
increasing your conversion on attention because you've done something.
people are, it's like you said, it's like being interesting, not even just necessarily in your personality, but having something interesting you've done, something. You have to have something, some
Yeah,
hook.
so the guy that asked that question, Wiley G, he's actually an animator, and he created some of those animations that I sent you and the artwork for the thumbnail for this video.
Oh,
And
sick.
so for like him, you know, he could create tutorials on, you know, how to make animations or how to make artwork or how to talk to influencers and grow your business,
Dude,
or you know, what type of books should you read to learn about this or that. It's all about distilling, like it's just all about providing value, right? Like how can you provide value, you
100%.
know?
Yeah. Like, or this is like inception of personal brand, but like I was even talking to my VA and we were like, dude, like what if you built a brand around either being like an editor photo type of guy or around being a VA and like taught people how to be a VA, like all this stuff. It's like, whoa, like that's interesting. It'd be like the opposite side of what we're doing. Like if he
Dude, that
built
would
an
be
audience,
so sick.
yeah, no,
That'd be so sick because like here we are hiring VAs and we have
I
no
know,
idea what the world of a VA is like. Like I'd watch a documentary on
dude.
that right now.
That's what I think. I'm almost scared to even push him on this idea because it's like, dude, he's gonna get too busy or whatever. but like, dude, it would be amazing. Not only would we be able to see what his life is like as a VA, but it would help other people in the Philippines be like, it's the same thing we want, right? Everyone wants to work at home, to be able to spend more time with their kids, right? And it's
Right.
like, VAs get that. So
Yeah,
it's like the same
definitely.
thing. It's like literally the same selling point. That is the same thing that brings us into like online business, is the same thing that would bring people in the Philippines into wanting to be a VA. It's like, whoa, you can work for some online company from home and all, dude, it's like, it would sell it. It would be like, it'd be so cool.
It'd be a solid series for sure. Let's go
Yeah.
to the
Let us know
next.
for the people watching, like shoot me some comments on that idea. I definitely want to like hear what people think about that.
No, I'd like to see it too.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. Um, do you deal with any U.S. suppliers? If so, or if not, why? Pros and cons, etc.
I actually do. So I have one product line that is sourced in the US. And that was just because it made sense. I don't know. I saw the competitors said made in the US. So I started just Googling around for people that could supply it, and I got in touch with them. If it makes sense for the product, I would do it. For a lot of products, it doesn't make sense. Like I have my products that are made in China or India, there just aren't manufacturers for those in the US. Like the US is just not, it's just really behind on manufacturing. You know, it's not even about costs and stuff or be like, oh, I can be all greedy and source in China. It's like, no, you don't understand. You can't source this in the United States. Like nobody makes it. And if they did, it would cost $100 versus $5. Like the US just doesn't have a lot of infrastructure for certain types of manufacturing. And that's just like that. I mean, that sucks or whatever. Like it'd be cool. Like if I could source in the US for the same price, it'd be a no brainer, even if it was more, because then there's less logistics, less hassle, all of that. But in most cases, it's going to be really hard. If you're getting into anything like consumable, like supplement, 100%, like you got to look at the US. I would not look outside the US. But in my case, it's like just this random item that I saw the competitors were already sourcing it in the US. So I just thought, all right, like, let me see what I can find. And it just made sense. So I did it. Outside of that though, in most cases, and most of my products come from China, I do have a product line that is from India as well. So I wouldn't be like only look at China, you know, it just depends where is the product you're looking at made already. That's what it comes down to.
Right. Definitely. Great answer. Um, what have you dealt with suspensions at all? Have you ever been suspended? Is this less of a risk for private label sellers?
Um, it might be less of a risk in the sense of, well, I guess no. I guess with the resale, most of your crowd is still doing FBA, right? They're not like merchant fulfilling, or are they?
Some people are as the fees increase or whatever for lower
Yeah,
margin products, but for the most part, they're reselling widgets. And I think the problem is a lot of those times those widgets are owned and governed by other people, copyrights, trademarks. And so you
yeah,
get suspended for those types of reasons. I just had a product right now where I had some Aukey battery chargers and I was selling them, and I sold half of my supply, and then I got a counterfeit complaint or whatever, and I guarantee it was from the actual brand owner because I was selling on the same listing with the brand owner, and because I had bought from a distributor, not from a actual retailer or whatever, I didn't
yeah,
have anything to back it up, so I just pulled them or whatever. Obviously, I didn't get suspended. I think Amazon weights your account. The more money you make Amazon, the less likely they are to suspend you over a mistake.
yeah.
But in general, private label sellers are less at risk to be suspended since they govern the products that they're selling, correct?
Yeah. So on that issue, we're on the other end of that. Like I have had to kick people off of my listings for that reason. So sorry, but I'm
Right.
sure
Yeah,
it's
yeah, no worries. Well, I'm not finding your product at a
like sold
store
by
or
Reezy.
online
Like,
or
wait a
like, how would I
second.
find your product? Like I found it at a thrift store in the packaging still, and I
Yeah.
was like, huh, I'll
I
sell this
mean,
one unit.
there's there. I mean, I don't know how the actual statistics compare, but there's still plenty of people that are getting suspended that are private label sellers. I mean, there's issues. Um, but in general, I mean, in general, it's like obvious stuff. Like if you're doing everything correctly, yeah, you're probably fine. Like I've never had my account suspended. I have had individual products go down just for like issues. Like one was a complaint of used sold as new, which might have been Amazon putting some inventory back into stock and things like that. You know, I got it resolved, but that's basically the most intense thing I've been through. Never had my whole account at risk.
So this is a comment, not a question, but and it's actually from a man, and he says, "You have a beautiful hairline." Heart emoji.
Wait, who is that?
Bradley Williams.
Oh,
Like
that's my dude. No, I know why he's
you're
dude.
getting
That's hilarious.
roasted by your boy or something.
Wait, yeah, no, it's because I got a YouTube comment today, and it said it was the weirdest thing. it was, you have a very unique hairline. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I showed a few of my friends. So he's one of my friends that he's saying that because of that comment. But yeah,
Awesome.
somebody said I have a unique hairline. And I was like,
At
okay.
least you
I don't
got
really,
here, bro. Wait till you're 33.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like,
You're
I
pretty
don't know.
strong. I think you'll be good at 33.
Yeah, is my hairline unique in any way? I don't know.
I don't know. It's on fleek. I can tell you that much.
Hey, I don't know. That was a funny comment, but that's why he said
Um,
that. What's up, Brad? I can't believe. Have you really been watching for 2 hours? Damn.
yeah, I can't believe it's 2 hours when I have so much fun like this. Like I thought, maybe it's an hour and 15, and I'm like, holy Mazuka, it's already 2 hours.
Dude, we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see. And it'd be cool to like do some kind of meetup or something. We're not that far away. I'm trying to get a conference together, and I want to teach private label at the conference. So I want to get a couple successful private label sellers to come and speak at a conference also. I think I talked to you about this already before.
Yeah. Super down. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be a good time. Someone was asking a question about diversification. Like if you were diversifying, are you going to stay within private label, or would you consider wholesale at all, or you just want to be your own supplier, or what?
I mean, that's all up to you, obviously. For me, I don't really have much interest in it at this point. I came from the resale world, like I said, and I just got burnt out on it. So it's just not interesting to me anymore. I think I hit a point where I decided that if it's not scalable, I just don't care. Like if you could tell me, and like, I don't mean this to sound like greedy or something, but if you could tell me like I could like run down the street, buy something, and then like take a picture and make $1,000, like I probably wouldn't do it at this point. Not because I don't want $1,000, but because like I just want the stuff that's repeatable. I'm just obsessed with that idea. So
Right.
wholesale,
You value your time a little bit, and not to say that you think that 2 hours is worth $1,000 or whatever, because we know that you do consultation calls for like $200 for an hour or something, right?
yeah, yeah,
175. But
yeah, but that
like,
even that's repeatable.
that's your own time, right? That's not like there's no risk involved in that.
Yeah, like look, if you told me I could run across the street and do that every day, that's different. But if there's
Exactly.
just a one deal, I'm just not looking for individual things at this point. I want things that can repeat and be scalable, right? Like
Right.
not only can it do one every day, is there something I can do that makes it go from 1 a day to 10 a day, or 10 a day to 100 a day?
Exactly. So I'm kind of like that too, but I mean, obviously more so now than I used to be, because now I do a lot of retail arbitrage, and like if I'll buy something, for $10 that I can make $5 profit on, but if there's only one on the shelf, I'm so much less hyped on it. I want to get like 10 or 20 of them so that I just scan it once in my listing software and change the quantity.
Exactly.
And then I can go forward, but if there's only one, it's such a bummer.
So that's one point I would make, is like if you're going the wholesale route, like yeah, I get that that could be repeatable if you have accounts with them or whatever. But I don't know, it's just not my game. But I'm personally not looking at diversifying in that way. I definitely want to diversify in other ways, just because I've been all in on Amazon for 3 years. Like I want to diversify, like I was talking about earlier. Is like I'd love to sell this business eventually. That's something we didn't really get into, but like owning a brand is a sellable business. Like with reselling, it's like you're hustling it, which is legit and awesome, but like I don't know,
You're not building equity.
there's nothing you can really sell with that.
Right.
Whereas with a brand, I mean, like I said, there are brands that sell for, I mean, any amount of money. So if you create a brand and it's netting you 100K a year, you can keep rolling that out and reinvesting into inventory, and maybe you're not seeing 100 grand in your pocket, right? Even if it's profiting 100 grand because you're reinvesting into that. But boom, what if somebody says, I'll give you 300K cash plus the cost of inventory right now? Like that's something that happens when you own a business like this.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You might have to cash out. So there's a question about personal brand and stuff like that, but I'm going to move on to get to the rest of the questions. Maybe we can do another show where we just talk about personal brand, social media, because we're both students of Gary Vee. So I feel like we have a good grasp on that. Like a lot of people, I just tell people like, watch more Gary Vee. You're obviously not paying attention, but
yeah,
it's just much more obvious to me or whatever nowadays.
Yeah.
Next question, actually a comment. Someone says the VA behind the scenes is a great idea. And then Posh said like, yeah, LOL reality show VAs dealing with American resellers.
Dude, that'd be great.
It's like the reverse. It's like the reverse Office. Sounds great.
It's like the back office.
Yeah, the back office. Let's see. Let's see if we get some more. Someone says that their VA from the Philippines backpacks and has a blog. Would love to see her do a vlog and see how she handles traveling village to village and still working for me. That's great. You know, I'd be interested too to be like, there's no Wi-Fi. Like I got to hike 25 miles to edit this photo.
Yeah, that would be an issue, but no, yeah, a lot of potential in that idea.
Yeah,
And
it's great.
that ties in with the personal brand Gary Vee thing. It's like, if you have an interesting thing, like that's an interesting thing, right? I think that's an interesting thing. So
Yeah,
that would
definitely.
work.
You could become like a forefront authority on VAs. You could make your own V. You could go from working for a VA association to like running your own little private online jobs.ph, because
Yeah,
I
I've
think there's
thought
a
of that
real
even.
problem with VAs, and that is that you have to vet them. So like for me, I had to go through 5 before I found a good designer for shirts. And I kind of was like, dang, man, are there ever going to be any good? And then there was one that just like hit a home run. And I got really lucky because I just asked her, I was like, hey, do you know any other designers? And she was like, oh, yeah, my cousin designs. And
Yeah.
then now she's on the team and she's killing it too. So it's kind of like, you know, if you could like have some all-star team of VAs and like like we said, that would be your business card, your personal brand, and why it would lead people to your
Dude, I've thought about it.
content.
I mean, I already have a lot of people asking me about VAs. So then, like, I'm an entrepreneur. I think of ideas. It's like, yeah, what if hypothetically, it probably won't happen. But what if in a year I was like, I'm going to really run with this VA idea. I'm going to create a matching service, basically. Like online jobs is like $40 a month or whatever. So it's like, geez, I mean, how many thousands of people are paying for that? I mean, it's a big business. Like,
Yeah, well, and also like there's services that, for example, that sell T-shirts for like $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 a pop, and these are basically just Amazon merch sellers that like they made a business for their own use. Now they're creaming off the top, and it's like, look, I can take my designs that I paid for $4 and sell them to you for 6 or 8.
exactly.
And it's like the
There's
value is in having it ready to go.
Yeah, like I have people ask me for all aspects of Amazon. Like, how do I edit photos? How do I write copy? How do I create a logo? And it's like, yeah, I could just have my own little like agency of that. It could be like, well, I have a good guy who can create a logo for $25. It's like, but I could offer it for 50 or whatever. And see, that goes back to that like margin thing. It's like, even if I'm doubling it or whatever, it's still value to the customer because you're bringing convenience, right? Like,
Yeah, no, convenience is
that's
mother right
it's
there,
literally
man.
you're actually creating value. It's like, yes, I'm taking something that's 25 and selling it for 50, but you're saving the hours and hours and hours and hours compared to
That's what our whole economy is about now, is that
it's
time
literally
is
business.
becoming, as the cost of living goes up, the value of time increases alongside of it. And so when you can
Yeah,
sell people back their time, or even just the perception of time, it's like innumerable as far as what you can sell it for.
absolutely.
Let's keep it going here. We got question says, if you have your own private label product, is there any additional information you needed to provide to Amazon to get into a restricted category, for example, like the baby category?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in that because I'm not in those types of categories, but yeah, you're going to potentially have to deal with like safety regulation type of things. So be careful with, stuff that has a liability. Like, I have like, for example, product liability insurance, things like that. Cause people could sue you over a product somehow damaging, hurting or something, especially if it's like something
What does
like
that
baby.
cost you per year? Do you know?
A few grand. That's it. Just a few
Yeah,
grand.
nothing. Basically
Yeah.
free, and you can sleep at night.
Yeah, it's huge. So, but yeah, I mean, that's a complicated area, an area that I'm not going to pretend to be like a major expert in. But yeah, there are certain products that like, legally have certain regulations. For example, supplements, but with supplements, you're actually dealing with like literally private label companies that they already have all of that. So that kind of like FDA stuff like that. So, but yeah, I know I've heard of certain regulations specifically for products that are geared towards people like under the age of 13 or something like that. There's some category of whatever that they need to meet certain requirements. So yeah, I mean, that's a long thing. The disclaimer would be like, in a lot of cases, you can sort of like start at your own risk, like semi-scrappy, but as soon as you know it's something you're going to stick with, you're going to want to really deep dive into that. Cause obviously you don't want to be like, well, first of all, you don't want to be hurting people, but second of all, you don't want to end up being sued, or you just want to be bringing something good to the world, right? So
Right.
be
Yeah.
careful.
Yeah, definitely be careful, guys. I have a friend that says that all the time. Like, instead of saying goodbye, he says, be careful. And you walk away like, what does he know that I don't know?
Yeah, geez.
Be careful. You're like, Jesus. I think we already covered so much stuff, and we've already been on here for 2 hours. Let's see if we got any more questions, any last final questions before we let Matt go, because I'm sure he's got something to do. We all got a million things to do, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's see. We covered a lot of stuff. I mean, basically, we just need to get out there and get it and start analyzing products. My favorite part of the interview, I think, was when we were going through like how to analyze products based on volume of sales. Like, obviously I knew that already, but I didn't really put it together like in the private label thing. You know, it's like, it's funny how you like already know this concept, but I didn't apply it to this, because I'll just be honest with you. I have a private label product and it pretty much flopped. So at this point, I'm selling it for like 50% of the price of my competition. And I'm probably, I'm losing money when I sell it, but I'm like at the hopes of getting like 60 or 50 or 60% of my money back that I invested. And it, they cost too much per unit. They were a little large and heavy, but the most important part of why I failed was I tried to get into a market that had, like exactly like you said, let's say there was only 3,000 units being sold every month. There was 300 people trying to sell it, and only those 3,000, 90% of those sales were coming from 3 sellers.
Yeah, see,
And
so
the
it didn't have
rest were
that
from,
depth. Yeah.
yeah, from everybody else that was failing to succeed. And so
And
now I'm
did you
like,
do anything to make that product stand out, or was it like the same?
yes, I modified it, but the funny thing is I thought I was being super cool, and I modified it. I had a really cool brand name, the logo, and the packaging, and then I changed the color of it to modify it to fit like with my name of my brand or whatever. And it turns out that this specific type of product, which I knew this already, but I just didn't, I got too excited and jumped the gun, is that when this product doesn't look like all the rest of the products, I'm pretty much losing conversion, because they're like, oh, they expect it to be a different color. And
Yeah,
so
you have to
since it's,
find people that specifically want that. Yeah.
yeah, and it wasn't one of those situations where like a variation of color was an improvement or whatever. It was
Right.
a specific product where the coloring of the product was synonymous with the actual product. Even though it was a generic product, they're always colored this way. And that's what people like, let's just say it was like I don't know, like a pineapple cutter tool, and they're always like yellow or something. I'm just making this up or whatever. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'll make it green with like a leaf on it or something, like whatever, like I was totally delusional about like how I was making an improvement. And what ended up happening was I have a product that's functionally the same as everyone else, but it just, when people see it, it doesn't remind them of what they were looking for. So they just go right
Mm,
past it.
that's interesting. Well, I mean, the fact that you like have this analysis of it like shows me that you have like a really good understanding of like what's going on. So,
Yeah, it's just I'm like particularly good at like branding and names and like knowing what like is good, but I
mhm.
failed to like incorporate all that from the mindset of the buyer, like looking at this other product, like without giving away the product, I can't like say too much or whatever, but I wish I had a good example, like a good analogy or whatever, but it's just like certain things are the way they are because that's how they've been made for 15 or 20 years or whatever. And
Yeah.
people might not expect that, or whatever. Like, let's just say it was like a baby product and is like, it's like always red and black and or whatever. And then I was like, oh, I'll make it like RGB, or like I'll make it like Crayola colors or whatever. And it was like, no, people always want it in like black and white and red,
Yeah.
whatever. And so I lost a lot of conversion. I'm sure off of that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well,
We got a couple more
I mean, if there's
questions.
anything I can help with that, like if you want to shoot it to me afterwards or something, I'd take
Oh
a look.
yeah, no, I definitely do. I will take you up on that, man, because
Yeah.
I
See if I
have
have any
cases
ideas.
of it in my storage that I would love to liquidate. I mean, I'm not saying I need to sell it to re-roll the dice again or whatever, but I definitely need to roll the dice again, and it would be cool. My business partner would hate me a lot less if I recouped, 60% of the money on my bad decision.
How much was your total investment?
I think I spent, without like having looking it up in my email, I got 500 MOQ, and I want to say it was like $8 each, something like that. So like about 4 grand plus shipping, and then they were over a pound each, like the size of a small pillow, like a small square pillow or something. So really, there was just the cost was high up. the volume of my product. Like if you take 500 units and you stack it all up in a room, it's a huge space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think that was also one of the main things that I messed up on, is just having a product that was too large that weighed too much.
I mean, if it works, it works. It just all
Yeah,
comes down to
exactly.
margin. Like I mean, most of my products ship by sea, so it just depends.
Yeah, so let's see. I think we got at least one more question. Do you utilize eBay at all, or are you 100% Amazon?
I need to fix it, but I did have my product cross listed on eBay. I was getting a couple sales here and there, but eBay is definitely not my focus as of now.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, not really doing anything on eBay.
Most of the standard American customers that are buying just like random stuff, it's all on Amazon.
Yeah, I think you actually just reminded me is like I had set up like sales on eBay. So it was like, say the product is normally 30, I put like 40 and then the markdown thing. But I'm pretty sure that expired like a month ago. So that probably explains why I haven't had any eBay sales.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not focused on eBay. I mean, it was like such a small amount of
Get your
sales.
VA on that after he's done with your videos.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's just people that are like choosing where to buy it anyways. Like, I don't think it's actually getting me like extra sales. It's probably just like a few people that are like, oh, I guess I'll buy it on eBay instead. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I don't think it's like,
Right.
it could work. If it works for you, do it. It's like Gary Vee, test it. You know, if you start getting 10 sales a day on eBay, I mean, do it. But
Right. You're not
yeah,
interested in, you're not interested. Do you do any Shopify at all?
I do a little bit. That's definitely an area that I'm looking at expanding more right now.
Right.
Right
Because you
now,
can save
any,
the Amazon fees, right?
yeah, it actually works out cheaper, which is interesting. So especially if people order more than one, that's what I find to be really interesting about the fulfillment fees is it like for example, like say you have a product that the fee on Amazon when it sells, say it's like a $27 product and the fee is $8. If you sell that on Shopify, the fulfillment fee to fulfill out of Amazon is about $6. So it's $2 cheaper. But then you have like, you know, the credit card processing fee on Shopify. So it's like, it works out to like $1 cheaper. But the thing where it gets crazy is that like, say somebody were to buy 2 of that product on Amazon, you still basically pay close to double. Like for example, that $8 fee might be like a $15 fee on 2. But on Shopify, I just did this test and that item that was $6 to fulfill goes up to $8 from 2. So it's only $2 extra to ship 2 of them instead of 1 of them. Whereas on Amazon, it's almost double the fee. So
Right.
there's, yeah, I mean, the
Amazon's
margins are
getting
better
theirs.
and you own the customer, but you own the customer, which is huge. Like I said, brand building, all of that, that's
Yeah.
huge. I mean, the ultimate thing would just be to have a massive business off of Amazon. But the reason that I still drive a lot of my external traffic to Amazon is because it greases the algorithm. It's like what I said about PPC. And it's like, look, if I can drive extra sales from off Amazon to Amazon, that's going to help me rank on Amazon, sell more on Amazon. So
Definitely.
it's a balance.
So, couple more questions before we end it up here. Any categories that you just recommend people to just stay the hell away from?
Huh. I mean, I've seen people do it, make it work in almost every category. I mean, there's probably some weird ones that I've just like never even like, I mean, I wouldn't go into like watches or something. I don't know. Like even
Right.
clothing is iffy for private label. I've never really seen anyone do too well in that. Um, I mean, the main ones to be careful of is like what we were talking about earlier about like baby and supplements. Nothing else really comes to mind other than like the stuff that just has no volume, like, and how are you going to private label it anyways? Like the obvious ones,
Right.
like watches or I don't know, like appliances. I've never really seen people go into those, but all the major categories have opportunity, in my opinion.
Awesome. So, who would you like to see me interview on the show? Anybody you would like to see me interview?
Well, you just did Larry, which that was a great choice. I need to go back and listen through the whole thing. I haven't got a chance, but I heard bits and pieces, and yeah, dude, that dude's awesome. So who I would have recommended. Other than that, I mean, I know people that are like not like doing the personal brand thing. They don't have followings, but they're really big Amazon sellers. I don't know if you'd want to I could try to get you in touch with some people I know like that, but no one else really comes to mind, you know, like I wasn't really, like I said, I wasn't really in this social Amazon space until I put myself out there relatively recently. So yeah, no one else really comes to mind.
Right. Well, if you know anybody, I'll tell you we're looking for, I want to find someone who does Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So you're looking at other stuff.
yeah, I want to teach everybody any way that you can make money on the internet. I want to talk about it because that's really the commonality that we all have, including
Mhm.
all my viewers and any of us that we're all online. You know, we're all using the internet to change our life for the better.
Yeah, dude. Well, I'll just keep that in mind and let you know who I think of. Because yeah, if you're not limited to like Amazon, then I can probably come up with some people, not really people that are like out there, but people that I just know that are doing interesting things.
So your answer is Gary V.
Yeah, do Gary, yeah, get Gary Vee on the show. That'll be
All
good.
right, that would be
I'm sure,
that'd be sick.
yeah.
I'm not. Nothing's impossible with this internet. Um, and
Dude,
what is
eventually, I
your?
mean, you've got a few like mentions with him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's coming through. It's. I'm gonna be on his show, or he's gonna be on mine. Something's gonna happen.
Dude, yeah.
So what is something you want to ask the audience? Question of the day type thing. You can ask
Ooh.
anything, and you're not gonna get hundreds of replies. You might get 5 or 10
You mean I'm not gonna
replies,
get
but
thousands?
yeah, it's not really like a market sampling, but I encourage my guests to ask the audience a question, and then of course get into the comments after the video is posted and engage with them.
Yeah. Um, the first one that comes to mind, I'd probably need longer to come up with like a great one. But the first one that comes to mind, I put out in a video like probably like a month ago, and it was just that like why are you really trying to do this? You know, like I feel like trying to get an idea of why you're trying to actually achieve this online business thing or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve helps you figure out how to map to that goal. Like just figuring out like why you're actually doing this. So I'm just curious, like to people out there. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out myself. Like I don't really know. Like I'm still trying to really figure it out. Like what's my like ultimate end thing? We kind of talked about that. Like why am I doing this? It's
Right.
hard. So I'm just curious to everyone listening. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, what do you want this for? Not what do you want, but why do you want that?
Yeah, like what is the end thing you want to be more happy, you want to those types of things. Yeah, I got you
Like the
because I'm doing the
underlying
Tony
thing.
Robbins training myself right now, and he just talked about that in the last chapter, and it's like once you identify that, it becomes much easier to map your goals to that.
Yeah. I
That's
think it'd be a
great.
huge motivator, you know, like if you could just keep thinking like, well, that's why I'm doing this. And for
Awesome.
me, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll all figure it out eventually, like
Yeah,
at the very core of it, I'm sure we all don't want to work for someone else and we want to buy our time back. But like once you get your time
exactly.
back, what do you want to do with it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's why like right now it's like I do want to build wealth. I do want to build platform because I know that will be effective in whatever thing I do next. That's kind of like my idea. I just don't know what that next thing or meaning or whatever is.
Awesome. So guys, if you did not go and subscribe to Matt's channel, I would appreciate you clicking that link down there. It's actually an auto subscribe link to Matt's channel. So when you click on that, you should be presented with a pop-up. You should click, yes, I do want to subscribe. And that's how we're going to show Matt some love for coming on our show for basically 2.5 hours. Also follow Matt on Instagram. Matt has Twitter also. I don't know how active he is. Like he said, Facebook. He has a
Yeah.
Facebook group. Later, Matt, you can give me the link and I'll throw your Facebook group link into the description as well.
Yeah.
And if there's any questions you guys have for Matt or for me regarding this video, please put them down in the comments and me and Matt will make sure to answer them. Anything and everything from this broadcast up into stuff you would like to see me create or stuff you would like to see Matt create, anything like that. And we would love to create that content for you and help you out on your journey.
Absolutely. I'll make sure to be in the comments of this video and I'll answer every single question. So
awesome. I don't even have to do anything. So you know what we say around here, Matt? Do you know or do you not know? If you ain't flipping,
you slipping.
you slipping, son. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Smash the like on your way out. Peace.